Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go into the presentation portion of the meeting. We've got three presentations tonight, two recognition as Officer of the Month and a proclamation to start off SMART, SOS. Chief, who's gonna be up here with the Officer of the Month?
Officer Buchanan and Detective Murillo, can you respond up front, please? Good evening. Mr. Mayor, council members, city manager, all city employees, including our fellow law enforcement officers and City of Homestead citizens. Welcome. This is the time where we'd like to present the Officers of the Month for the Homestead Police Department for the months of April and May 2016. First, let me begin with Officer John Buchanan. Officer John Buchanan retired from the Miami-Dade Police Department, where he served with them, and 17 years was that of a traffic homicide investigator. After retiring from there, he began a second career in law enforcement. In 2002, he became a reserve police officer with Homestead Police Department. Then in 2003, because of his wealth of experience with traffic homicide investigations, he helped develop and implement a traffic homicide unit with the Homestead Police Department. In 2008, he became a full-time police officer with HPD and subsequently was assigned to the traffic homicide unit as a traffic homicide investigator and crash investigator. On April 4th, 2016, a road rage incident occurred in the Homestead and the surrounding area. It was an incident which gained international attention and drew a lot of attention to our city and the surrounding area. And especially with a lot of the incidents involving road rage, it really gathered a lot. Officer Buchanan took the lead and began to investigate this case. He looked at all the evidence, interviewed both subjects. Initially, it was that a motorcyclist was being chased by a driver who was trying to run him over. But what the investigation actually revealed was that both drivers were perpetrators to the road rage incident. In other words, they both caused the incident itself. It was through his investigation, by obtaining statements and gathering evidence, that he determined they were both at fault and both were subsequently arrested. And with that, I say, good job for that type of investigation and seeing it out thoroughly. But sometimes it's not always what you do in a particular month. Sometimes it's what you do every day of the month. And as an investigator, Officer Buchanan, he puts together these traffic homicide cases, which are tragic as they are. He thoroughly goes through them in a totally unbiased manner and takes a look at each case as they are, at what the value they are. He prepares each case for prosecution. He just doesn't make the arrest and that's it. He prepares each case. He follows it along the way and he gets it ready for prosecution. Well, in April of this year, a case from 2011, a double manslaughter traffic homicide, was going to trial. He went again, because it was such a long time, he went back, he looked at all his calculations, measured everything again to make sure everything was correct, that he was going to testify factual to all the evidence. He also helped prepare the prosecution for this case. As a result, once after having a preliminary hearing or a pretrial hearing regarding this, defendant ended up taking a plea because the defense learned how airtight the case was. And it's this attention and dedication to duty that makes these tragic incidents have a successful resolution. And again, I congratulate you for a job well done and being Officer of the Month for April 2016. The next one is for the Officer of the Month for May 2016, Detective Jose Murillo. Detective Murillo began his career with the Homestead Police Department in October of 2003 as a reserve police officer. In December of 2004, he became a full-time police officer with Homestead Police Department. In October of 2006, he became a detective assigned to our General Investigations Unit, GIU, where he specialized in burglary investigations. During this time, on May 3rd, 2016, at approximately 04:28 hours, an organized group of individuals broke into the Walgreens located on Southeast 8th Street. Once inside, the subject stole approximately $20,000 in prescription medication. Detective Murillo began his investigation, and he joined forces with a task force that was investigating an organized crime group that was targeting Walgreens throughout Miami-Dade and Broward counties. After sharing intel, Detective Murillo was able to establish probable cause and arrest the individuals for burglary and trafficking in narcotics. Good job. On the same day, just approximately 16 hours later, we had an armed robbery occur at Kohl's department store in which $33,967 in diamond rings were taken at gunpoint. Store was open, person walked in and robbed the employee at the jewelry counter. Based upon video and trace evidence collected from the scene, Detective Murillo was able to identify the subject. I believe it was by the next day the subject was located and placed under arrest. Detective Murillo was able to recover approximately $17,000 worth of the diamond rings. And again, another successful arrest. On May 11th of this year, the Somerset Academy was burglarized where several laptops were taken from the school. Again, video and trace evidence was collected at the scene. Detective Murillo's investigation led him to identifying a subject who resides in Broward County. The subject was located and arrested. The subject confessed to the crime and charged accordingly. Detective Murillo was able to recover 4 of the stolen laptops from the subject's residence in Broward County, and also during the search, they also located other laptops that had labels on them from Broward County Public Schools. They determined that those were stolen in burglaries of the schools in Broward County, and the subject was charged by those appropriate agencies. So again, once again, good job. While talking with Detective Murillo about this presentation tonight, he wanted to make sure that all the other GIU, SIU, uniform officers that all assisted with these various investigations were acknowledged. So again, thank you guys. And Detective Murillo is correct. They do need to be acknowledged. They all need to be acknowledged. We can't do any of these investigations without working as a team. But I will say this to you. In order to have an effective team, a leader has to emerge. And in this case, you as the lead detective stood up, led the case in the directions it needed to go, and led to successful investigations. Again, good job. Congratulations.
I'm going to cheat and use this one over here. You know, day in and day out, we're blessed in Homestead to have a great police force, a great department, and great command staff. And every month, we take the time to at least honor your best for that month. And I couldn't be more proud to be able to say, I'm glad to be the mayor with this department and the job that you do on a day-to-day basis. But today, two specific officers. But this is a certificate of recognition for Traffic Officer John Buchanan, Homestead Police Department. With gratitude, we thank you for your distinguished service above and beyond the call of duty. The city of Homestead salutes you, Mayor and Council. Thank you, sir. I could read it again, or I can just give it to you.
Give it to me. That'll work.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
There you go. Thank you. It's an honor to be here tonight, and I want to welcome up a group that I'm going to recognize here tonight, SOS. Start off smart. And while they're making their way up here, there's many of our men in blue, women in blue here tonight. Not sure why they're here, but I want to personally express a thank you for your service to our city. I know how much time and effort and planning goes into your jobs, and I know how much you care about your jobs and how much you do for us. And I appreciate every single one of you that protect this city of Homestead. I appreciate the chief, the major, the command staff, every one of you that serve our citizens in our city. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of the chief and everything you guys do. The public doesn't know what you guys do behind the scenes, and I don't want to go on and go on and on because I have many, many good stories about our police department. I just want to thank each and every one of you. And as long as I'm here, I've got your back like you've got my back. Appreciate you guys. Anyways, it's an honor to be standing here. It's an honor to be standing here with SOS. I know SOS for almost the 25 years they've been in existence. I've known Sandy for 24 years, Debbie for 24 years, Flora for many years. And these guys have a story to tell. Actually, they have stories to tell that we could not even possibly imagine that happen out there in the streets of our city, in our area. If it wasn't for this group of ladies, it's all ladies, except for Pastor Brown there. There's many people out there that would go without services, that would live in environments that are not welcoming to them. They do a lot of things alongside of the police department. In fact, they're open 24 hours a day. If Homestead Finest come across a problem out in the community that deals with domestic violence, child endangerment, or anything that's related to family, they get called. And I think Floor or someone else has to go out. And then you build the case. So they work diligently to help so many people in our community that deserve to be helped. There's not a time I call Sandy that she doesn't take my call and help somebody. Because if I'm calling Sandy, it's because somebody's asking me for help. And I don't have all the resources. I know I can reach out to these folks, and they'll do whatever it is they can do to help other individuals. I don't know everybody's name up here. Sandy, just take a second, introduce these folks for me, please.
I sure will. This is Flora Azarega, and she is one of our victim advocates. Arlene Gillen, victim advocate. Jasmine, I'm not going to mess up her last name, also victim advocate. Dee Hernandez, which is also a care coordinator. Georgette Garrick, who is also a care coordinator. Tammy Reyes, a care coordinator. My wife of 25 years at the office, Debbie Liao, she's a program director. And Chauncey Brown, he's our police chaplain and also a care coordinator who works with youth.
Thank you. Is there anything you want to say about your organization?
Yes, I would. Thank you very, very much. SOS is extremely proud and extremely honored to work in collaboration with the City of Homestead and the Homestead Police Department. We began this endeavor back in 1991. I was 3. And we began this endeavor in order to help serve the community of Homestead. We were the only police department in the state of Florida that had a social service unit housed within the department. 25 years later, we're still very unique, as there are only a handful of police departments nationwide who truly house a social service unit to meet all of the needs of the community. This department and this city has a heart of gold for the citizens that live here. I would like to also announce that we are having our 25-year birthday bash at the Villages of Homestead Clubhouse on October 22nd, beginning at 7 p.m., and we hope you all will come out and support us. We do a fundraiser every year in order to have funds to support the families that we serve. And I would truly, truly, truly like to thank all of the support the council has given us for all these years. The Chief of Police, Al Roll, who is always there for us, and the Major, and all of what we consider our brothers and sisters, those in law enforcement. We thank you so very much for taking our backs throughout these years.
So on this day, we're actually celebrating your 25th anniversary. I would like to read this proclamation to you. Whereas, to effectively and efficiently guide individuals, children, and families towards independence and safety, to improve the quality of life for the residents living and playing in our community using strong community collaboration, is the mission of Start Off Smart, otherwise known as SOS. And whereas SOS is a 501c3 initiative of the Homestead, the great Homestead Police Department that integrates law enforcement and human service personnel, a combination of services that provide a holistic approach to meeting the needs of the community. And whereas SOS works as a multidisciplinary team that coordinates community-based services with an approach to address her root cause of behaviors in order to reduce crime and duplication of services, thus resulting in the reduction of repeat offenses. And whereas SOS works collaboratively with the Homestead Police Department, the great Homestead Police Department, in order to meet the needs of families who are exposed to violence. And whereas SOS is comprised of several programs, each grant funded from different sources, including the Justice Center, STOP, or Stop Violence Against Women, Safe Family Partnership Network, Human Trafficking in the Victims of Crimes Act, and now, therefore, Jeff Porter, the mayor of the city of Homestead, Florida, do hereby proclaim the 27th day of July 2016 as Start Off Smart Day, SOS. Thank you. Now we have this proclamation that you guys can probably display in your office. And we also have, oh, this is heavy, this beautiful, what would you call it, a trophy? Not really a trophy, it's more of a statement piece. And it says, the city of Homestead congratulates SOS for 25 years of success. Thank you guys for everything you do for our city, our community, and the citizens that live here in the city of Homestead.
You can all move over here for the group photo. No, you don't have to go to the gym. That's right. That's two line up here. I think we're gonna have to do 2 rows. Chauncey in the back. Yeah, we're gonna
do 2 rows?
Okay, we'll adjourn this special presentation ceremony and give us just a few minutes, and we'll go directly into the council meeting. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Wednesday, July 27, 2016 council meeting to order. It's approximately 6:47 p.m. This evening, we'll have the invocation by Pastor Steve Miller, pastor of the Core Community Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, Councilman Larry Roth, and the Police Explorers. Would you please stand?
Welcome. Let's pray together. Our Father in heaven, we gather together as a diverse community. We are from all walks of life and all backgrounds and beliefs and values, and yet all of us are made in your image, and each and every one of us has dignity and value and worth, that each and every one of us matters deeply to you. And Father, we also confess that we're sinners, that we're broken, that we have not obeyed your laws and we have not obeyed your commands, and we've not only broken your laws, we've broken your heart, and we've sought to run and rule our own lives. And so, Father, we ask that you would forgive us, that you would forgive us for our pride, that you would forgive us for our selfishness, that you would forgive us for being self-protective and for looking out for ourselves ahead of other people. Thank you, Father, that you sent Jesus Christ as God to come down in the flesh and to live a sinless life in our place, and to obey all of your laws perfectly and to love you perfectly in our place. And thank you, Jesus, that you got up on that cross as a demonstration of your love for the world and as a payment for all of our sins. You took the judgment we deserve. And thank you, Jesus, that you did not stay in the tomb when you were buried, but you rose on the third day, showing that you have conquered sin and death, and you are right now ruling and reigning as King of the universe. You are in charge and control and have all authority and dominion and power, and you are good and you are compassionate to us. And so we ask tonight that you would help us, that you would help us to love one another as you have loved us, that you would help us to be a community that thrives and flourishes, that Homestead would be known as a community of good news, that this would be a place where people can come together, we can be united in our differences. God, that you would allow all of us who are in positions of authority, whether that's wearing a badge, whether that's in the government, whether that's in clergy, whether that's in our homes as moms and dads or business leaders or bosses, that you would help all of us in positions of authority to use whatever authority we have to serve and bless one another. That we would be courageous and yet humble and compassionate. So help us tonight as we meet. Give us understanding, give us wisdom, give us compassion for one another. Help us to be quick to listen. Help us to be slow to speak. Help us to become slow to be angry. That you would fill our hearts with compassion and love for one another. That you would use us, Lord, to cause this city to thrive and flourish for the good of all people. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with with liberty and justice for all.
Order arms. Left face. Forward march.
Please be seated. Thank you, Pastor Miller, for the prayer, and Councilman Roth for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess. Here. Councilman Shelley. Here. Councilman Maldonado. Here. Councilman Roth. Here. Mayor Porter.
Here. I would like to say the Vice Mayor has an ill mother. She's in the hospital, so if it weren't for that reason, she would be here tonight with us, and she expresses her regrets for not being here, but mothers, very important. Mr. Attorney, I've got probably 2 hours worth of public comment cards, and I'd like to ask the council if I can move 27, which is a presentation from the Orange Bowl Committee to the city, and then the quasi-judicial, the land use items, which would be what, 18? We need 17, 18,
Have 17, 18, 19, and 19, those three.
17, 18, 19. So
Yeah.
if it's okay with the council? Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Tab 27, Mr. Epling. Mr. Epling?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting a monetary contribution by O.B. Harris Field LLC, authorizing the contribution of matching funds by the city, waiving competitive bidding, authorizing the renaming of the field at Harris Park, authorizing the execution of a project coordination agreement for renovations at Harris Field, and providing for an effective date.
Questions from council? Mr. Epling, would you like to come forward, Mr. Epling? Mr. Maytan?
Mayor, council members, tonight's a very special night for City of Homestead and also for the Parks and Recreation Department. Today, we are bringing forward to you the legacy gift from the Orange Bowl Committee. I have a lot of people to thank on this legacy gift. We're very proud of having this. This is a great opportunity for Harris Field to come back to life. After Andrew, of course, it took a very hard hit, and it's been the same since. Over 13 high school teams play in that field, plus Dick Conley Memorial Football. I just want to thank the Orange Bowl, which will come up and give their speech, but I just want to say to you that I'm so proud of my staff, also our city manager, George Gredis, our assistant city manager, Kay McCaffrey. The biggest hero I have to say to help me through all this was Bob Epling and Willie Carpenter, and I want to bring them up now, and I just want to say thank you, and thank you, council and mayor.
Thank you, Dennis.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Mr. Manager, I stand here tonight humbled to bring this opportunity to Southdale County. With extreme pride, we have the opportunity to help thousands of youth with the improvements that we're proposing and with the backing and support that we have. For some 40 years, plus or minus now, Harris Field has been the center of sports activities and many community activities for our entire area, not bounded by the city boundaries, but throughout South Dade, from county border to county border, we've had the opportunity to do that. By estimate, some 50,000 youth have played football on Harris Field. Some 400,000 spectators, including parents, guests, and others, have watched that. We have the opportunity here tonight to approve and to make improvements to Harris Field that could compound to at least 5 times the use because of the innovative way that soccer is going to be incorporated into this field. Some 11 months ago, there was a team put together who are here tonight, and they worked extraordinarily well. And I'm very proud of that team that was put together, both on the city side as well as on the Orange Bowl side. Included in that, of course, would be Catherine McGaffey, who's our assistant city manager here, Dennis Mahan. Dennis has been extraordinary in working with the people, both technical and otherwise, in getting this done. Pedro Ronaldo's been very, very well, and Alex has also done an outstanding job. On the Orange Bowl side, Judge Michael Chavis, who's here with us tonight, is going to speak in just a moment, who's the current president of Orange Bowl, and Eric Palms, the executive director of Orange Bowl. Those are the people who, through this team for 11 months, have come together with this plan. We believe it's a good plan. We believe it's something worthy of consideration. And I think we may have some of the schools represented here tonight. Do we have anybody here who's from some of the high schools or the youth? I know it's summertime and they weren't here tonight. We have 9 high schools that use Harris Field through your generosity. And what you give back to the kids through the limited money that you collect for that is extraordinary, because it's way under what the market cost would be for that. These 9 high schools will be expanded probably with this because of the turf that's being put in. The little kids have not been able to play on that. The smaller kids, the kids in the 6 to 10, 12 years old, only the high schools have been able to play. Now, with the artificial turf, all these children will be able to enjoy and play. Plus, with the soccer markings, we think there'll be girls, we think there'll be everybody who will be using that. So I want to thank you again for the opportunity to do this and introduce you to Judge Michael Chavis and Eric Palms, who's going to give you some details about the plans.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you very much. And Mr. Mayor and council members, thank you for receiving us tonight. It's a pleasure to be here, along with our CEO of Orange Bowl, Eric Palms. It's certainly our pleasure to be here. It's the Orange Bowl's mission and vision to inspire youth, engage our community, and enhance South Florida. Orange Bowl Field at Harris Field Park encompasses all of that. We have a rendering here for you to look at your leisure of what we believe the new and improved Harris Field will look like. And we also have a brief video that we'd like to show you at this time. So if you could run the video, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. We began our Legacy Gift Program in 2009 in celebration of our 75th anniversary. Since that time, we've revitalized 3 parks: Moore Park in the city of Miami, Carter Park in the city of Fort Lauderdale, and Ives Estates Park in Miami-Dade County. When we were searching for our next project, we looked at Homestead. We thought there was a need there, and certainly with the urging of Bob Epling and Willie Carpenter and others, we all decided that this was definitely the place to go. I'd like to especially thank City Manager George Gritzis. Thank you so much for his work and direction. Other folks I'd like to thank are Kate McCaffrey, Dennis Mayton, of course. Dennis has been 100% behind this from day one. Pedro Ronaldes and Gail Sirota. I'd also like to thank the Center State Bank. Pleased here to be in person and to pledge our support. Other members of our team that need to be named are Ford Gibson, who's the chair of this effort, Legacy Gift Vice Chair Matt Allen, Project Manager Jeff Williamson, and the entire Orange Bowl Committee. We hope you will support this resolution as well. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak on behalf of this project, and everybody have a great evening. Thanks so much.
being a little optimistic and maybe a little bit forward, just kind of to seal the deal, the smallest partner in the deal is Center State Bank, and we would like to give you $30,000 tonight to pay for the scoreboard. The project is $2.2 million, but this $30,000 is important because we got to know the score if we're going to play, right, guys? Dennis, thank you. If you have questions, we'd be happy to entertain questions.
This is a public hearing. Obviously, Orange Bowl and the team wants to come down and basically redo our Harrisfield Park, Harrisfield football field. It's nothing but a benefit for this community. And Bob, you spearheaded this. I know you've been on the Orange Bowl committee as president for years and on and on and on. And it's because of you that this is being done. And I really want to tell you thank you very much for your continued support for this community over and over and over again. Anyone from the public would like to speak for or against this, you're welcome to come forward now. I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. I just echo your sentiments about Mr. Epling there. I know that he has been a very active and participant of the Orange Bowl Committee for years and years, and without his efforts, I don't believe this would have happened. So with my deepest gratitude to you for bringing this down here to us. To Dennis, I know he's been working hard on this and the entire staff. So thank you to them, to the entire Orange Bowl Committee. We thank you. And I'm sure you guys were inundated with applications or different areas that wanted this great project to take place in their area, and we thank you guys for coming down here and believing in Homestead and giving us something that will be used over and over and over and is surely is needed. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Roth.
I just want to echo that, Mr. Epling, for all the stuff you've done for the South Aid community and the city of Homestead. We really appreciate your voice in this. And I just want to shout out to Dennis. I know Dennis has put his heart and soul into this project, and I'm proud that you're going to get to see your work come to fruition with the Orange Bowl Committee's help. Bob, thank you very much. Dennis, thank you, and I can't wait to see the final product.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Epling, take back the same accolades to Mr. Carpenter. I know he still serves on the board, and again, he's a longtime family member of this community as well. So is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley? Yes. Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, and thank you again to the Orange Bowl Committee. Everyone, thank you so much. Okay, the next item on the agenda is going to be tab 17.
Hello? Mr. Williams, tell me your name. We can hear you, Mr. Williams.
We can hear you, Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams? Are you on, is that you, Mr. Williams?
Mr. Williams?
When we get connected, we'll come back. So tab 17, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, Mayor. This is the quasi-judicial section of your agenda. Please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in, all testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf.
Yes.
Full agenda packet
Yes,
on each.
Mayor. Yes, thank you, so Mayor, and my colleagues. I'm asking. Yes.
Yeah, we were in the middle of the swearing in on the quasi judicial, Mr. Williams. Give me 1 second. Let me swear in
Hello?
the applicants, and then we'll come right back to you, okay?
Full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk in accordance with Code Section 2-591. Any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications they've had concerning any of the items on the quasi-judicial agenda. Hearing none at this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any quasi-judicial item.
Please stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, please state your name, hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Mayor, tabs 17, 18, and 19 all pertain to the same project. I can introduce each one of those items. We can collectively have a public hearing, and then you can take a separate vote on each of those items. So tab 17 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a variance request from Section 30-276A, uses permitted, of the City Code of Ordinances to permit outdoor storage of materials, products, and operations in conjunction with the operation of an automobile dealership on property located east of Southeast 6th Avenue and northwest of the Homestead extension of the Florida Turnpike, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. Tab 18 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a special exception to permit a commercial retail use exceeding 20,000 square feet for the development of an automobile dealership on approximately 8.188 acre parcel of property, generally located east of Southeast 6th Avenue and northwest of the Turnpike, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. And tab 19 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval requested by TT of Lucy LLC for an automobile dealership consisting of 52,000 square foot building on an approximately 8.188 square foot acre parcel generally located east of Southeast 6th Avenue and northwest of the Turnpike, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
So you're going to take 18 and 17?
17, 18, and 19.
We'll do them all together?
You can do them all together.
So I'll open up the public hearing on tab 17, 18, and 19. These all pertain to one particular development out east on 328th Street. Did you want to come up?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Members of the council, for the record, Jeffrey Flanagan, office is at 3399 Ponce de Leon Boulevard in Coral Gables, Florida, representing the applicant on these three items.
Questions from council? Mr. Shelley?
Just a clarification question. I know that this project started down the path on different parcels of land, and then somewhere along the way, the decision was made to go to a different parcel where we are right now. So I supported it then, I support it now. But my question is, how far down that path did we get? Was it just the rezoning of those parcels? Did we ever do any variances or any site plan approvals or anything on those parcels, the prior ones?
No.
The original.
Hold on, Michelle.
Green does not mean go.
There you go.
Hello? Okay.
Yes.
The original site went to P&Z, and for business reasons, the applications were pulled, and then this site was selected. So no, on the original site, we did not undergo rezonings or variances, et cetera, because it never got to council. For this particular site, a rezoning was approved, I think 2 months ago, and the site is now a B2 retail commercial district.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we didn't have some lingering approvals for a car dealership type product right next to this type of product, so I wanted to make sure I knew where we were, but that was the only question I had. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Roth?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. It says up here the dealership is at 111 South Homestead Boulevard, US 1. I don't think that's the correct address.
That's
Is that where they're at today?
I'm sorry, it keeps kicking everybody off. Go ahead,
No,
Michelle.
that was an error on the car. I apologize for that. I noted it today. The other two cars are correct.
Okay, just a question. That's all. Thanks.
Anything else? This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak for or against this item, you're welcome to come at this time.
Didn't Dave put a card in?
Mr. Lowens, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
My name's Dave Lowens. I live at 1730 Egret Road. Like many other citizens, I've been concerned about the traffic on Lucy Street for some time now. I'm wondering about the relationship between the approval of this project and the widening of the street and the overall plan for ensuring that the street can handle the traffic.
Mr. Abreu, can you give us an update on the current widening process? Hold on. Okay.
Yes, that portion of the roadway, southwest 328th Street, it's slated for widening. The county has already, the project has already gone to county subcommittee for transportation, and will go in September to the county Board of County Commissioners for final approval. They have a contractor on board, and they're just waiting for the final approval from the Commissioners Board to give the notice to proceed.
And the length of time on that project, what would you estimate?
The project is slated to start construction in October of this year, and there is, I believe, it's a 16-month period of construction, which includes everything finalized, including punch list items. But the actual construction will take much less time.
Mr. Flanagan, your project would coincide how timing-wise?
Yeah, the estimate that we have is completion on this project is February of 2018.
About the same time. So, Mr. Lowens, it should be about the same time. They should come together approximately about the same time. So we should be able to handle it without any problem. Because I agree that's a terrible intersection. Mr. Maldonado?
Just to piggyback off, through staff, we already had a traffic study in the area in regards to this. Can you please comment on that for the community?
Yes, the traffic study was conducted by Richard Garcia and Associates on February 19th, originally on July 27, 2015, and then updated on February 19th, 2016. It was reviewed by the city's traffic engineering consultant and found to be in compliance with Chapter 1-5.5, the concurrency chapter.
And is it taking into account the new road that's going to be the expansion as well, or is it just currently?
The traffic study takes into account the proposed trips. Not sure if it takes into account the widening of the road. I'm not the traffic engineer. I just coordinate. But if you give me a couple of minutes, I can.
Okay. And that's just to answer, just give a little feedback so the folks are not confused. So if we got an approval on the road as it sits today, which is already a concern, then obviously once we expand it, that shouldn't be a concern at all.
Correct.
Okay.
Mayor, may I add on to that? The traffic consultant, when they did the report, took a very conservative approach, and in all of the trips, calculated it as destination trips versus pass by somewhere you would stop while you're already on your way going through that area. So that adds to the trip count, but even with that conservative approach, everything was found to maintain concurrency, and I don't believe there is any degradation in levels of service.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. I'll close the public hearing. Final comments from council? Is there a motion on tab 17? Is there a second? Second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Yes. Councilman Burgess, Councilman Shelley, Councilman Maldonado.
Yes.
Councilman Williams. Mayor Porter.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Is there a motion on tab 18? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Maldonado.
Yes.
Councilman Shelley. Yes. Councilman Roth. Councilman Burgess. Mayor Porter.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Is there a motion on tab 19? Or did it just, 20? No, 19. The motion was Mr. Shelley. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Maldonado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Shelley. Yes. Councilman Roth.
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado.
Yes.
Councilman Burgess. Yes. Mayor Porter.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, are you there? Madam Clerk, I know Mr. Williams he said to you that he was requesting us to discuss pulling an item, is that what was said?
I have not spoken to Councilman Williams, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Manager?
Yeah, Councilman Williams requested that item 22 be deferred till the next meeting.
Is there any comments on deferring
Okay.
22? Move to defer tab 22. Is there a second? All in favor?
Okay.
Tab 22's been deferred to the next meeting.
Okay. All right. Yes. Oh,
We deferred tab 22, Mr. Williams, till the next meeting, when you'll be present. Okay. Now we'll go back to the agenda, which is the public comments. So at this particular point in time, I'll open up the floor to public comments.
yes. Yes.
Yes, sir? Okay,
Yes.
Go
I,
ahead, Mr. Williams.
Dear. Yeah, I'm on, but it's not going through. I'm on the line.
Okay, well,
Just get your phone to a mic.
we deferred tab 22. That's the question that you asked, correct? Okay, the public comment section is open right now. Mr. Edward Villa?
Mayor, Chairperson, good evening. My name is Edward Villa, head coach of the Homestead Knights. The Homestead Knights is owned by MDI Sports, a nonprofit organization, and we play in the Miami Extreme League and practice at the Roscoe Warren Park. We have been playing in the Homestead community for 2 seasons, and this would be our 3rd. Unfortunately, the Homestead Knights have been under financial stress since its first year. We were in the hole for $17,000 the first year, and the second year, close to 3 games left in the season, parents still owed the Knights $7,500. When we tried to collect the money, we had such a big exodus that we had to forfeit various games for different age groups. This is just a little background so you will understand where we're coming from. I'm writing this letter to you as a concerned parent, coach, voter, and taxpayer. We had a meeting with the Parks and Recreation this past Friday, 7/22/16. We were supposed to meet with Dennis Mayton and Pedro Reynaldo, but neither were present. Instead, they left James Rawson, a supervisor, which I believe has no decision-making power, in charge. The reason for our meeting was to discuss an outstanding bill of $2,500 for some goalposts that were required by them to put up at Harrisfield Park last year. We told them that we told Mr. Rawson at the moment we had $1,500 plus $250 awarded to us from the Homestead Youth Council. That will leave us owing $750. We told Mr. Rawson that we were willing to pay this off as we kept receiving money from future registrations. Mr. Rawson's reply to us was that not only was he instructed by Mr. Dennis Mayton and Pedro Reynaldo that this was not possible, but that the Knights were basically going to be punished for not having paid the debt on time, and that our park fees would triple now from $17 an hour to $60 an hour. This increase would definitely be the death of the Homestead Knights. He also told us this is just business. Children are not business, in my point of view. The owner of this team took the name of the Homestead Knights to honor the city of Homestead. It seems to me that at a time of crisis, the Homestead Knights, the children, and the parents are being hung out to dry. This attitude that Parks and Recreation has taken is one merely of business, no more compassionate than that of a credit card company that castigates its customers for late payments and increases their rates. And even these companies are willing to negotiate. We are not dealing with credit cards or car payments here. We are dealing with children and families. I am a volunteer who wants to give back to the community what was once given to me. The same goes for all my coaches and parent volunteers. Our main goal is to keep the kids off the streets, off drugs and crime.
Thank you, Mr. Villa. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. St. Germain? And then if, behind Ms. St. Germain, if you could line it back there, Mr. John Parker, please. Just put your name and address for the record, please.
It's Jill St. Germain, 26630 Southwest 174th Place, Homestead,
Thank you.
33031.
Go right ahead.
I'm the owner of Creative Threads, located at 449 North Chrome Avenue. Mr. Parada's done business in the past with us and currently has an outstanding balance of $18,293.30, dating from March 2014 to October 2014. Mr. Parada is aware of this debt and has stated in an email dated February 6, 2015, in which Mr. Parada promised payment at the registration of the next season. Since that date, we have turned this account to a collection agent and was able to collect $1,500. The collection agency nor Creative Threads have received payment since that date. We recently received a letter from the collection agency recommending legal action as Mr. Parada has not been responding to phone calls. I wanted the council to be aware of this situation as the amount due for youth uniforms for Mr. Parada's sports leagues that are played on the very fields Mr. Parada is requesting permission to use. To be clear, MDI Sports is the football league, NYBA is his basketball league, and of that amount is $4,657.10 due from the football.
Is he the owner of the league, Mr. Maytan?
Mayor, council members, that is correct. Dexter is the president of MDI, and that's who we usually work with. To let you know, Mayor and council, MDI was notified. They wanted to goalpost themselves. They asked us for help on that, which we gave them the help. They told us, listen, we don't have the money, but can we?
That's okay. No, this just comment. I just wanted clarification because
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Villa was speaking on the Homestead Nights, and I didn't know.
Same president.
So, okay, so this is a debt that's owed to you by the Homestead Nights.
Same company.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, you
I
still.
mean, in total, it's 18,000 and whatever, but only 4,000 whatever. The
Thanks.
4,657.10 is owed by the MDI Knights.
Okay, thank you.
But they were the last ones to purchase uniforms.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Parker? And next, Ms. Rose Villa, please. Could you go to the back? How you doing?
Thank
sir?
you, Mayor, Commissioners. I am a 31-year resident of South Florida down here in Homestead. It's an honor to stand before the council. I come here in support of the Knights football team. I'm not really privy about the financial situation, but speaking as a parent, as well as a citizen down here in South Florida, I appreciate the field, the opportunity to go out there and have my children, as well as the rest of, are they allowed to stand up? Can you show your presence? Can you show your presence, please? So I'm here to ask for reconsideration to allow us to play on the field. Reason being is because there are many other places out there, but we're co-located down here to a field that's next to us. And I think it's a good group of people there, and the other places are not necessarily a place, quite frankly, it's a little bit too far. The field that we play on, it's close, and a lot of kids there walk to get there. And if we're not allowed to go there based on the price of $60, where are we going to take our kids? So I'm asking for reconsideration and actually mercy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Villa? Ms. Villa? And then Mr. McDuffie behind her.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Rose Villa, and I'm here as a parent, as a citizen of the city of Homestead. My concern is about our children in our community. They are the future, and they deserve better opportunities in a place that they call home, because city of Homestead is our home. They need to feel proud of belonging to this community instead of feeling rejection and resentment against the old city. For that reason, I ask you to consider an opportunity to support the Homestead Knights League. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. McDuffie? Mr. Umberto Estevez could be next. Yes, sir.
Good evening, council. Thanks for allowing me to come up and speak. I'm staying up here on behalf of myself as a citizen of Homestead and on behalf of Representative McGee, speaking with the citizens of the District of 117. They have talked to me and the office about their plight. We would love to have you guys talk with this family and negotiate. If you can have the rec department be able to work out something, because we would love to have our kids be able to have a safe place to go and to enjoy a fun-filled all-American sport that brings people together, and also it keeps our kids off the streets, and there's no better way than to have our kids be able to have family time and enjoy a great American sport. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Estevez? Is Babette Mitchell? And then Ms. Aceredo behind her?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Babette Mitchell, and I'm a registered voter and a resident of the city of Homestead, and I'm here today just to show my support for body cameras for our city of Homestead police officers. And I hope this is something that the city will make a priority and bring to fruition in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is it Tahim Aceredo? Aceredo.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, City Commission. Thank you for giving me the time to come up here and speak. My name is Tahim Acevedo. I'm a resident of the Florida City, Florida area here. I'm also a private school teacher and a public servant of my community. This speech is not to draw on a race card. It's to show solidarity to all neighborhoods across America who have been affected by the pandemic of gun violence and also police brutality within our communities. All lives matter. However, when those that are appointed with the authority to serve and protect our communities decide to abuse their powers, they need to be exposed and brought to justice. In the case of Edward Foster III, once again, there was a senseless killing of an innocent human who, yes, as reports will say, did have a gun during the time of arrest and a prior criminal background. However, reports will also say that he was not resisting arrest. If this is a justifiable cause for killing a father, a brother, or even someone's son, then that gives the right for officers to shoot and kill other individuals of the same profile in our community. Now, let's be frank, we are not naive. I am not naive to the behaviors or societal norms of impoverished neighborhoods. Reports by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development states that it is in fact that neighborhoods where the poor are vastly concentrated and there is a high volume of crime within the areas compared to affluent communities, you have more cases as in such of Mr. Edward Foster III. The area in which the shooting of Mr. Edward Foster III took place is the intersection that divides Homestead from Florida City, Florida, a city in which is marked by degradation, poverty, and gun violence, same as the cities of Eastern St. Louis, Illinois, Flint, Michigan, and Homestead, Florida, which all ranks in the top 25 of cities in the U.S. with the highest violent crime rates. I say that to say this: if we fail to stay vigilant in our progress to define inequality, racial profile, and mass incarceration, then this vicious cycle that is keeping our fathers, grandfathers, and mentors absent from the household will continue to result in socially deviant behavior of police brutality and also police resistance. I am in hope that the state and local municipalities will compact an initiative to combat these disparities and allow for a forum of open dialogue that will be solution-oriented. This is a matter not to be ignored. Our communities are becoming numb, immune to the killings of innocent people and kids. I would like to acknowledge those that are vigilant in the process by bringing attention to the foster family, all right? Also the organization of Brotherhood, AMI, and also Struggle Nation.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Alti Benucci? And then followed by Justin Ware. Justin Ware?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alti Benucci, and I am the mother of Edward Foster, who was murdered by Officer Green. I decided to attend the council meeting only after finding out that Officer Green is off administrative leave and patrolling the streets. I am here because I need to address the following to Captain Rowe, the mayor, the city manager, the city attorney, and anyone else who is responsible for this outrageous injustice. What gives you the right to permit Officer Green back on the streets? What gives you the right to give Officer Green a pay increase, additional monthly allowance, along with reassigning him from patrolman to detective within a month after he murdered my son, and in addition, without waiting for the state attorney's results of the full investigation? What gives you the right to feel that by having Officer Green's mother stand at one of these meetings and give a speech about how much she loves her son and how good of a role model he is would change how we, the parents and family of his victims, feel about her son or police officers in general? Homestead residents are afraid to stand up against you. The families of the victims that were murdered or shot by Officer Green did not know how to fight back. Since there is no aftermath from the victims' families, does this give you the right to take Officer Green off administrative leave so quickly? Each time he shoots someone? I am here to tell you face to face that you don't scare us. We are not your average Homestead residents. We are not intimidated by you. We will stand our ground. We will not allow you to continue attempting to undermine us because we will remain undeterred. We will not throw our hands in the air and comply every time we get stopped by a police officer. We pledge not to be controlled by fear, but instead by our dreams that one day my son's children and all the children of current and future generations may once again trust in law enforcement and feel protected by them, rather than fearing that they will be beaten, arrested, or murdered whenever an officer feels they can make a bad or quick decision because they know it will go unpunished. We are aware that the majority of police officers who complete the academy come out with a sense of pride, no prejudice, and looking forward to servicing the community. But once they get around their coworkers, they are haunted and peer pressure to comply with the blue code of silence. If they don't comply, they're considered the outsiders and are punished by not receiving raises, promotions, or even get demoted. So what happens? The majorities have crumbled and have no choice but to give in. It is a fact that the blue code of silence among police officers is more powerful than anyone can ever imagine. Let me give you an example. Currently, the NYPD is under investigation because their officers are speaking up and coming forward, stating that they made a choice not to adhere to the blue code of silence and are being punishable by not receiving promotions. There are officers that are good civil servants, and now their lives are in danger, all sparked because of law enforcement.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I will close this by saying all lives matter. But at this point, it don't matter equally.
Justin, Mr. Ware? Justin Ware? We need to,
Hey, good evening, Consul. Yes, sir. Good evening. My name is Justin Ware. I'm the youngest sibling of the now deceased Edward Foster. Let me start by stipulating I came here today for no political controversy. I'm a very close friend, family friend of the Rowe family, and I probably patrolled the streets with a handful of officers here in this building today during my internship in college a few years back. I have nothing but the utmost respect for what I've experienced, but I'm honestly here today due to the inaudible voices of my heart. Our family's pain and anger with our present-day justice system is the exact reason why I stand before you today. I know that Americans are struggling right now with what we've witnessed over the past year of recent law enforcement shootings, but we cannot forget that some law enforcement officers value their commitment to something larger than themselves and value the protection of life and existence itself. Those officers need not to be forgotten and continuously saluted. But then you have current issues, such as the one in my family, and I are facing, along with many other families nationwide, and which leaves us all exhausted and hopeful for answers. But if there is no accountability, then you contract excessive force. All right? De-escalating the situation and non-lethal force should be executed primarily, and which did not occur on July 16, 2015, when my brother was killed by the hands of Anthony Green. Do you truly believe that an officer with several shootings, including justified deaths, should not be reviewed further after ceaseless incidents? Do you truly believe that an officer who has an in-house rap sheet longer than my forearm should go unnoticed? Do you truly believe that this man is innocent? In all involved shootings, 7 to be exact, all minorities. If you took a second to think about that last question, or just honestly unsure, then please stand with us and not as an enemy. Take the time to consider what's happening in our society today and think about how many justified murders have been proclaimed even after unquestionable evidence was produced of lawlessness. The federal prosecution of police, of civil rights, I'm just here because I believe in the 14th Amendment, which bans states from depriving any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Council members, I pray that you all hear me out, please. Never been here before, my first time here, and I just feel like I needed to say something. All right? We will not stop, and I pray that you all can believe we will continue to pursue a reassessment of our brother's homicide case. We will not stop until further review of Anthony Green as an officer of the law is assessed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Gladys Chirinos? No one? Kenny, is it Senator?
Good evening. My name is Kenny Sanat, and I am a teacher from Miami-Dade County Public School. As a teacher, I teach and encourage my students to be law-abiding citizens and to have respect for authorities. However, I relate to their stories when there's a lack of trust and transparency in the people who are there to serve and protect them. In many of our class discussions, many of them have expressed instances where they themselves have been victim of police brutality right here in Homestead. And some of them are afraid to even make a report due to the fact that their parents are illegal and they themselves are also immigrants and they're illegally here in this country. As a city, it is important, it is an obligation to be more transparent, and the best way to reestablish a sense of trust within this community is through police body camera. We're the only city in Miami-Dade County reluctant to apply this new method. Once again, I think this is the best way, once again, to regain the trust of our young citizens who are the future of this community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Ms. Gladys, did she make it back in? Kim Hill?
Don't have anything written down, just speak from the heart. I remember years ago, on my way to college at the Greyhound bus station, my granduncle came to me with 1 fish sandwich and 2 mangoes in a bag, gave me $5. He said, boy, I'm giving you all I got, and I want you to come back and I want you to do something for the people. Don't forget us. Remember my struggle. Today, I'm here today to give all I got. He gave his $5, and I'm giving all I got to my people. Now, what you're witnessing right here today is enough people to be able to place this on the agenda. The only thing they're asking for is to be able to place body cameras on the agenda, and you all give a blind eye and you refuse to hear it. You put the Orange Bowl committee up just a minute ago. You disrespected my people. They came out and you had them wait. I'm looking at you, Mr. Porter. That was your decision. Now you're putting your head down here. Look at me. That was extremely disrespectful. Now, what we're asking for and what we're demanding is body cameras. We're going to vote you all out. We're going to do what it takes. We're demanding justice for Edward Foster. We're demanding justice for a guy who was shot right now. Stephen Poole, shot without a weapon on him. He sits in jail right now today. And even you, Mr. Gresser, said this is a cloudy issue. But it's so cloudy to the point that you won't bring body cameras. And let's not be dismayed. Yes, sir. Can I still have my time, though, after you discuss me? I'm not slandering anyone. He said it right here. It's on record. It's on record. May I still have my time? Can I go back and have my time? My 3 minutes.
Your time's clicking.
Okay, but I still want my time. Mr. Gretzer made the statement that it was a cloudy issue between Stephen Poole. Stephen Poole was shot unarmed. There was no evidence. There was no evidence of a weapon found on him. And that's what happened. But the simple thing is still, I come in peace. I come in peace asking for a body camera. A lot of our black males deal with situations through insidious subterfuge of gangsterism. I'm a black man. I come to face you head on. Let's debate the issue. Let's go for it. And let's allow the chips to fall where they may. Debate me on the issue of body cameras. Give the people of Homestead the option of being able to have this vote on body cameras. What's prohibiting that? The simple fact that we're black. That's what's prohibiting that. The simple fact that we're black, the simple fact that we came into this country as a slave before America was America, and even when it was America, we was 3/5, and you're still treating us like 3/5 right now today. But we're not going to allow it.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Marcia, is it Mallet?
Good evening. My name is Dr. Marcia Mallet. I am a product of this community. I attended Southgate Senior High and left, went to college, came back. I also am a former teacher. And I've been sitting back there listening, and this is my first time ever presenting before the councilman. I've been hearing all of the issues, and I respect everyone here, the family who have concerns, and of course Chief Roll and the Homestead Police Department. I think they do a fantastic job. I had the opportunity to sit in on a meeting where we were discussing community issues and talking about community policing and just different things that are going on in the community behind the scenes that a lot of people are not aware of. And I was quite proud. One thing I would like to say is that I understand the issue of body cameras, but I want to go back to the foundation of what are we teaching our children? What are we teaching our children? I think the matter should also be about inclusivity with black, white. Yes, Black Lives Matter. Yes, all lives matter. But it also needs to be about inclusivity with what we're teaching our children, what we're showing our children, and how we're interacting with one another. And I think that's very important. And since Mr. Hill spoke about, when we were slaves, there's a great orator, Frederick Douglass. And what he said was that it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And I want each and every one of us in here to think about that it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And I believe that's what it's all about. Thank you.
Thank you. Adriana Foster?
Mr. Porter, with all due respect, if you could please give us the same attention that we're giving you, because you're not even looking at us as we speak. And this is very important. My brother was a human. He wasn't a dog. My name is Crystal Foster, and my brother was Edward Foster III. He was executed by Anthony Green July 16th, 2016, when he was on his hands and knees and was executed, handcuffed, dead. We've been coming here demanding answers, and today we taking a stand today. We have all the victims of Anthony Green here in this facility, and everyone is here in regards to this one issue. We've been pleading and been very politeful, respectfully, peacefully, coming here demanding answers. George Grettis, last year, November 2005, Chief Rose stated that Anthony Green was not patrolling. March 2016 this year, Mr. Grettis, you stated that he is on back patrol. You also took your time, and you've given us 3 minutes, but you took your time and gave us 20 minutes of Anthony Green's background, how good of an officer he was, how all of his cases was justified, and how he was back patrolling. My brother's case is still with the City of Miami Police. It's not with the state. So Officer Green is still not justifiable or unjustifiable. This is a case where you all are patrolling, and I'm putting in my request to the city today on camera in front of everyone that you all give us answers to where are we on this case, because it's also with FDLE. It has to do with the Department of Justice and the City of Homestead. We want to know, why is this officer 1 month after my brother was executed received a raise and was assigned to a detective? So with all due respect, Mr. Porter, we are humans, and I would like for you to give me the same respect that I'm giving you. This is a case that needs to be on notice. All cases, you have Danny Cruz, and it's a different officer, but you have Jason Williams, you have all these members. If you can all please stand up like they did. All of these members, please take a stand. We have all these members. All lives matter, and at the end of the day, we can't control the color of our skin, but you as officials with all these bodies in this building can change the profession that you're and these officers are in. So we want answers to why all these victims' cases are under investigation, and you have this officer still patrolling without any justification. We want an answer. We will be coming to the next meeting. If you can contact the family, because enough is enough, and we are not going anywhere. It's still justice for Edward Foster, and we will continue to come every...
Thank you, thank you. No, thank you. Carlos Galban. Carlos Galban.
Council members, good evening. My name is Carlos Galvin, and I'm here on behalf of Alfred Santamaria's campaign and the GOTV director that stands for Get Out the Vote. Basically, the reason that I'm here is to create awareness to the community and inviting everyone to vote in this election. Local elections are more important than presidential elections. Presidential election doesn't affect us that much, but local elections are very, very important. And today I'm here to support Alfred Santamaria, which is 126 in the vote 126. And also I'm representing the young population. We're tired of the same people running this county, the same 4 families, and we're coming with a very good option, which is Alfred Santamaria. Also, the current politicians here in Dade County have been running the county for over 30 years. And we're just basically tired of the same people, putting our county as the worst county to live in. So we're just basically having a very good project. And so I'm inviting here people to check our website as well, which is santamariaformiamidade.com. santamariaformiamidade.com. And the number is 126. Here's the very good option right now to be chosen for everyone here. So I'm inviting all the people, once again, to be voting on August the 30th, which is the election day, but the early voting is August the 15th to the 28th. So very important, people, if you don't complain for the situation that you're living right now, it's very important that you and I make the difference. And Alfred Santa Maria is the difference for the county and will bring a better future to our county. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Louis Aguirre? Louis, is it Aguirre? Yes.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Luis Aguirre. I live 45 years in USA, originally from Ecuador, South America. I lived 24 years in Chicago. I lived 21 in Homestead, and I'm very glad, I'm very pleased. I have a small business here on Chrome Avenue. I support about 20 families with jobs. That being said, I'd like to also mention that I'm a community leader in Miami and in Chicago for many, many years. Among my opportunities as a leader, I had the opportunity to meet this young gentleman named Alfred Santa Maria. And he invited me to support him, to accept the representation, to be a director in Homestead in his behalf. And I agree, and I accept. Why? I'm not looking for a job. I'm retired. I have a business. But I'd like to help this country that gives us so much, this city that gives us so much every day. It's time for a change. It's time for better. If I can do anything, 1 inch in my hands, to make a better future for my family, for my children, and for this city, and for USA, I'm in. I'm in because I love this country. That being said, I'd like to say a little bit about Santa Maria. Santa Maria is a young man that besides having a Bachelor of Arts in Political and Science from Florida International University and a PhD in Philosophy from CELA International University, and being a candidate for an MBA at the Nova Southern University class of 2016, Santa Maria has vast experience in public administration, having worked as a local, state, and federal levels. He is qualified and experienced. Among his jobs, he has worked in the Congress of the United States for the state agency, South Florida Workforce, and in the Florida Back to Work program. He is millennial. Santa Maria represents a new generation of citizens that want to challenge the status and they understand that needs to be done in order to modernize Miami-Dade County and make it more competitive. He projects Miami-Dade as a progressive 21st century competitive county. He wants to make Miami a leading county in the terms of quality of life and economy development. He also wants to make Miami-Dade a competitive county by creating incentives such as the tax breaks, private-public partnerships, and easier regulations and attract business, global companies, and influx to local and foreign capital and investments. That could create more jobs and improve salaries. That's what we're looking for a better future for everybody. Thank you so much. And I hope the county, he wins, will work together with Homestead. Because Homestead also is a big city, and I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations for the new building. Thank
Mr.
you.
Womble, Willie Womble.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens. For the past 9 months or so, we've been coming before you asking for one thing. And I'm happy to say I'm 54 years old. And all of that time, I have never asked anyone for anything. I've never asked the city for a dime, for any purpose whatsoever. But I've come to you 9 months consecutively, asking for the consideration to debate the issue of body cameras for our policemen. Well, some would say that we're asking for body cameras because we want to indict policemen. Far from the truth. Many of the policemen I know personally, very honorable young men and women. Many of them I've taught. I've taught them the values of how to live in a democratic society. When the flag was marched by some of the young students, we all stood and we stood proud. When we said the blessing, when we prayed together, we understood that we are standing before Almighty God and we are all supposed to do the things that are right to one another. But at this point in time, we have yet to give me the one thing that I've asked for. I've asked for consideration, the debate on why we should, and for those who don't agree, why we should not have body cameras. Body cameras have been proven to save money. Body cameras have been proven to have a degree of transparency that is not available in many instances today. Body cameras have been proven to take the case or the side of the officers more so than it has those who are complaining. Body cameras have proven to be a source or a tool that could be utilized to vindicate officers in many cases. It could also be a tool to give justice to those individuals who could have possibly been violated by the law. We know both sides of the argument. So why don't you do this? You have on the docket, you're going to vote to have the ordinances changed a little bit for the city of Homestead. And you're going to ask to put it on referendum for the upcoming election. Why don't you do this? Let the people of Homestead decide whether or not they want their officers to be equipped with body cameras. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Matthew Oki? Matthew Oki, come forward, please.
Good evening, gentlemen, council members, and women that are here. I have no prepared statement. I have nothing to be for or against other than I'm for the Little League guys. I'm not against the park having a soccer field. That's pretty cool. I am definitely for body cams. I didn't come here to talk about that, but it's an important thing. And I think you all up there seem to forget, especially when you're heard in public talking to other people, oh, we don't like the guy with the beard and the other guy with the photography. You know what? I think you all too often forget that the people sitting out here are the ones that hired you, that voted for you. We're the ones who tell you what we want. You don't sit up there and sit in judgment of us, okay? It's against the law to take a city vehicle and use it for things that you're not supposed to do. Please. Against the law, period. With body cams, when it does come to the point where we're going to have the discussion whether you like it or not about body cams, the discussion will not end up being what kind of body cam we're going to have, because we've already made the decision. We want the type of body cam that's on the entire shift. It does not allow the officer to turn it on or off at a whim and whether he's involved in something or not, because we want every minute of that public servant's time to be recorded. So we know what's being said, to whom, and why. Simple. They're not expensive. Now, you look around this half of a building, since it's a circle, and there's probably just as many police officers here as there are citizens. There's a little thing in the law called equal protection. Why are all those men allowed to stand on the outside wall like that when not one citizen is allowed to? Why are all those men with guns allowed in here, but yet you won't allow a citizen in here with a friggin' pocket knife that's exempt from the law for firearms? A pocket knife is not a weapon. You guys might want to check that out, even though you keep on saying the city is well within their rights. No, they're not. There's other cities and municipalities within the state of Florida that have already been proven that that's wrong. That's about all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Lisette Luna? Yes, sir.
Excuse me, but when everybody entered the room, they were given a decorum, and the decorum said no applause. So if you can, please follow the rules and no applause, or you will be asked to leave nicely the first time. Is that understood? I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Luna, Lisette Luna?
Hi, good evening. My name is Lisette Luna. I represent the New Black Panther Party of Miami. I'm the chairman, the local chairman. You know, in objection to the reputation of the Black Panther Party that the government labels us, I would like to say that one of the things we do in our community, we assess our community. We go out as vanguards, as protectors of our community. We refer different people to different organizations that can help the Black community. I'm here in support of the Foster family on what is going on in our city of Homestead. It's very concerning to us, very concerning that this police officer murdered 4 people, he shot 7, and the mayor, Mr. Porter, and the chief feels like he should still be patrolling our streets. He should still be on our streets. It's very alarming that you gave him an award, you gave him a raise, knowing that the Black community and the Hispanic community is terrified of this officer. You have no reason to keep him on the force as far as we're concerned. We're looking to remove this officer and any other officer who feels that they can murder or abuse Black and Latino citizens of Homestead. The current situation all over the United States is that Black people are calling out literally having to go in the streets and say our lives matter because white people keep saying all lives matter. Nobody's life matter right now until Black people's lives matter. You've been killing us, you've been assaulting us, the presence of the police officers, his attitude right there. Matter of fact, the last time I was here, when I didn't walk through the metal detector the opposite direction, a police officer actually pushed me. I filled out charges in Homestead to see that the police officer get addressed. He took my information. I've never heard from anyone. The last thing I just want to say is that what steps has the city manager or the chief or you, Mr. Mayor, taken to evaluate this police officer? And what kind of initiatives are you going to develop to get the trust back in the community? Because right now we consider him a threat. We consider him a menace to society. Any Black person or Hispanic youth that come in contact with him can be killed by him. And we are demanding that you do something about it other than just have us come out here in a public forum. We want some type of initiative to take place. And the last thing I just want to say is justice for Edward Foster, justice for all the other people that were shot by Anthony Green, and he needs to be off this force, and we are not going to stop. We're not going to keep coming here, and that's it. Thank you.
Ferdinand Clark? Anyone here, Ferdinand Clark? Wendy Edmond?
Good evening. I'm standing in the gap for my brother, Jason Williams. He was executed, murdered, slaughtered by Officer Green. He was the first person that Officer Green killed. We are still looking for justice. I still want to know, why is this officer still on the force? If it was a Black officer, he would have been fired a long, long time ago, and you all know it. I just want to say, Officer Green took the father of 5 children. We were having a hard time with the boys. The boys are afraid of policemen. It's 2 boys and 2 girls. The boys have to be in therapy because they're hiding. If they see a white police, the youngest one, first thing he want to know, Mama, Auntie, is that Officer Green? I said, I don't know. So please, we need help with getting Officer Green off the force. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry Adderley?
Good afternoon. My name is Cherry Adderley. I'm a resident of Florida City and also had businesses in Homestead. And Jason Williams was my nephew. The morning Jason got killed, I had stopped by and I'd given him $5 to put in his pocket. He was sitting at the store like he do all the time. A lot of people sit in the same spot. I passed there a few minutes ago and they're still sitting there. My thing is, now I know it's a lot of good cops. I have a lot of friends that's cops. I was given an award from the city of Homestead for saving a cop life. I was given a key to the city for help saving a cop life. White cop, laying in the road, had been assaulted. I stood there, I helped him. I had to get on the phone and call. It's a lot of good cops, but when you have one bad cop, it makes the other ones look so bad. Now, Officer Anthony Green, it is something wrong. Mayor Porter, can you tell me if it's Chief Rowe, how many cops you have in the city of Homestead that have killed 2, 3, 4 people? Can you tell me only one cop? Something is terribly wrong. Whether he's justified or not, something is terribly wrong. If I had a son that kept killing somebody, have killed 3, 4, 5 people, that's a serial killer. Something is terribly wrong because you wear the badge, you could just kill somebody? No. And if it's nothing done about it, guess what? He's gonna kill again. And God forbid, next time, it's not gonna be a black person, and it might not be a Hispanic person, but I guess y'all will do something when it's a white person. As my sister stated, if it was a black cop have killed 1 or 2 white individuals, he would not be on the force. He would be in prison somewhere. We all are one people. All are one people, united under God. This is America. It's supposed to be America. Like the lady said, we vote all of y'all in. I worked on a lot of you guys' election. We voted you in. If it wasn't for the citizens of Homestead, you wouldn't be voted in. You are voted in to serve the public. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Eric McDonough?
Hello, Mayor, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. I didn't really prepare a statement, but I had a couple of points that I would like to address. First, Rosemary Brackett is the senior citizen who came here several months ago and provided you evidence where Officer Merguido had falsified his police report and falsely accused her of urinating and soiling herself, as well as accusing her of having bloodshot, watery eyes, when other officers took pictures that prove this is a flat lie. With the body cams, I am in support myself of body cams. I think we should have body cams. I think anything we can do to increase the accountability of our public servants is a wonderful thing. But when we talk about accountability, we have to talk about other things about accountability, such as having a chief of police who knowingly backdated a destruction log by 17 months to help cover up evidence against other police officers, or a chief of police who goes and retaliates against a citizen trying to have him arrested for cyberstalking for simply making a YouTube video showing he committed 3 felony crimes. Official misconduct under Florida Statute 838.022, Section 1, paragraphs A, B, and C. I would also like to talk about the nepotism policy that the City of Homestead has. The City of Homestead's nepotism policy forbids any 2 relatives from working for the same agency and department and defines relatives to include father, son, mother, daughter, cousin, aunt, uncle, and even goes into in-laws. However, there's at least 6 families in Homestead Police Department who have relatives working. That means there's at least 12 employees in Homestead Police Department that are banned to be working for Homestead Police Department because they're relatives. This is over 10% of the police force. And you wonder why these people are upset about the lack of accountability. You can't even follow your own policy. And I'd also like to address the knowing and willful illegal violations of the public records law being made by not only city employees, but also by the law firm of Weiss Sirota. Hopefully you guys might want to check this out and get something together before we start filing criminal complaints. The last point I'd like to hit off with is Mr. Maldonado. You know, I'd appreciate it if you got something to say to me, you can come say it in my face, and you don't have to talk about me behind my back in public to other people. And I really appreciate that. And I hope you didn't get in trouble for.
Thank you. Thank you.
You asked me to leave? What did I do? What did I do? Can I ask what I did?
Fernando Morales. Fernando.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager, Chief. My name is Fernando Morales. I'm the president of Fraternal Order Police Lodge 13, representing the officers of the City of Homestead. For the past several months, we have been hearing from the Foster family and Kim Hill in regards to their version of the incidents that have occurred in the City of Homestead, versions of distorted truth for their cause, a constant bashing of the mayor, council, city manager, our chief of the police, and especially Officer Green. The Foster family wants you to believe that Officer Green is a monster as they describe him. It's time that we say enough is enough and stand with Officer Green, our chief, and our elected officials. They call persons such as Anthony Sinodi and Stephen Poole as victims of Officer Green and the Homestead Police Department. The facts are that Sinodi, who was a convicted murderer who was in the process of repeatedly stabbing a mother and her 11-year-old child when Officer Green arrived on the scene and was forced to shoot Sinodi, heroically saving 2 lives that day. Stephen Poole, who was possessing a firearm and drugs while on probation, shot at Homestead police officers when Officer Green was forced to shoot at Poole. Mr. Hill stated last council meeting that Poole was innocent and was only possessing marijuana, which is legal, while on probation. As a school teacher, I would have hoped that Mr. Hill would have done more homework and researched the facts, which are public records, instead of presenting lies to justify his cause. Last year, Homestead had over 90,000 citizen contacts with over 3,500 arrests and only 2 complaints of excessive use of force where the officers were exonerated. Does this sound like a city that needs to waste money on body cameras, or should that money be better suited to hiring the 40 police officers that we are down right now? In 1992, we had 98 sworn officers with 28,000 residents. We are close to a population of 75,000 with only 113 sworn officers at this time. Please keep in mind, contrary to beliefs of the Foster family and Kim Hill, we are not opposed to body cameras. It's just that now is not the time. I submit to you that a personal issue that Mr. Hill had with the chief has become a personal vendetta to tarnish our city with lies and attempting to racially divide a city that is colorblind. Mr. Hill, who is a middle school teacher, has the audacity to quote Trick Daddy last meeting, who was arrested here in the city of Homestead for possessing a large amount of cocaine at a high school football game. And another example of the false narrative that Mr. Hill wants you to believe. Please take time to honor the men and women of the Homestead Police Department who are also colorblind when responding to calls and risk their lives, even for the ones that dislike police so much. a department with one of the fastest response time to calls in one of the fastest growing cities in the state. It's about time that we stand in solidarity with Officer Green, our chief, and our elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. John Monaco.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your service as elected officials. I'm here today to address the continued bashing of our command staff and Officer Green by several entities. I've been what you would characterize as a street cop for the city for 20 years in this town. I work daily in the southwest section of the city because I want to. When I speak to numerous residents there, I have never heard one of them inquire about body cameras. They always want more cops. I can tell you the money spent on a body camera program would be better spent on more officers. If the residents of my city want me to wear a body camera, I will be the first in the department to wear it. I have nothing to fear. God guides me daily. I've seen Mr. Hill on YouTube and his mockery of the council, our chief, our officers, and I have one question for the self-proclaimed champion of the Southwest section. Where were you? Where were you on the last 5 shootings down there where black men lost their lives to gun violence? I saw Chief Roll there. I saw our chaplain there. I saw Councilman Williams there. You were not there. Where were you at the various town hall meetings regarding gun violence? The council was there, our command staff was there, our officers were there. You were not there. The city recently held a gun buyback program to get guns off the streets. Once again, I saw members of council there. Our command staff was there, and our officers were there. You were not there. I've never seen you in Homestead on or off duty. You claim to champion a cause, but you are part of a problem, not part of any solution. I don't care where you came from, what personal agenda you have in our city. Leave my department out of it. I'm asking you, Mayor and Council, as an employee of this great city, to stand behind your department. Stand behind your chief of police and staff. Stand behind your officers. I'm asking this of you as an employee. I'm demanding it as a resident. That's right, I'm a resident. 1420 Southeast 17th Avenue, Homestead, Florida. The men and women I represent need to know that you support them. Do not.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Mr. Monaco. That's all of the public comments. I'm going to close the public comments at this time. We're going to move on in the agenda to tab 1, which is Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been sitting here for 7 months talking about body cameras and this and that. The facts are, body cameras are between $500,000 and $750,000 a year for this force. I've spoken to people on the other end of the county that use them. It's a full-time job for 4 people administratively, plus supervisors on a daily basis. The body cameras themselves may be cheap, but the overall expense of the capture of every day would cost this department, with my rough calculations, and I'm no mathematician, about $750,000 a year to put it on every person that we would need to put it on. To me, those funds would be better served to put 8 people on the street at this particular time. If you look at the ratio of people per officer on the street, we are way below the state average. And by putting another 8 or 10 people, whatever we could with those funds on the road, I think this area would be much better served. And for that, that's all I want to say. I also want to say I support our chief 100%. He's been here, he's given his soul to this city, and I appreciate that, chief. Your command staff is nothing but the best. Our officers are nothing but the best. I've ridden with them many times. I've seen SOS do their work. There is not another police department in this county or in this state that I think cares as much about its citizens as the Homestead Police Department does. And I want to leave it at that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Maldonado?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to say a couple of words on someone of my, some position on the body cameras. There's always going to be pros and cons for the cameras. I think with the use of technology, the cameras getting to the size that they are, there's always going to be pros and cons, but there's pros and cons to all the tools that we have and use. When I came on board as an elected official with the city of Homestead, my position has always been to best equip our officers to do their job the best possible. Being the fact that we are understaffed, and that has been noted by many in this community, from the whole community as a whole. A couple years ago, we had a report for an officer that does not work for the city of Homestead, but is a resident, and quickly pointed out how we were understaffed. Again, it was mentioned today by Officer Morales, and how we are still understaffed. But yet this police officer, this department does a great job. Something I want folks to consider in regards to when they're talking about body cameras. I think in time, I think throughout the U.S., the body cameras will just be a normal way of life. But that does not mean that we need to get pressured into making this decision right now because of everything that is happening. It is our responsibility as the leaders of this community to be best stewards to this community as a whole. Cameras do not guarantee that everything is going to work out. Matter of fact, there are plenty of reports on that. And there's going to be lots of pros and cons, and we could have that discussion, Mr. Wamble. I wouldn't mind having a discussion. We could sit down. I would invite you and myself to have that discussion. I know you in the past wanted me to sit down with yourself and Mr. Hill, and I told Mr. Hill a couple weeks ago, as I sat down at Cracker Barrel to have breakfast, and I was sat next to him, and I'll share this with, I'll tell everyone here what I told him that day. And he says, isn't it funny that you never want to sit down and meet with me and talk about, what's going on? And he was sitting next to a Florida City police officer. And I asked the officer, I go, let me ask you a simple question and just respond the best you think you would respond. I go, if someone comes to you and tells you that you're no good, calls you out, you're not doing your job, you're racist, even though I'm Hispanic, but I'm a racist, I'm not doing my job. He calls me out here on the council, on the dais. He calls out the rest of council as well as our staff, but then he wants to sit down and have a meeting with you. And then I asked the officer, I go, let me put it to you this way. What if it was a woman who wanted to date you? Keep it simple. But yet before she asked you out, she said that you were ugly, that you were no good, and that you were cheap. But I want to go on a date with you. How would you respond? I said, yep, I'll respond the same way. I'm not going to have that meeting with you because of the way we had that discussion. But Kim Hill and I did speak. I did give him an hour, so we did hash out our differences. And so, Mr. Wamble, I would invite you. I will send out the invite to sit down and talk with you. Something that I want folks to think about with cameras, which are the other side of that object. Right now, they are still working out policies and procedures with this new technology. Throughout the United States, they're working on this at all levels, on the state levels, federal levels, to work out, what is the proper policy. And there's not one size fits all. and policies and procedures. But I want people to be understanding of one thing right now, and that's privacy concerns are the main thing. And what privacy concerns, my concern is, I have a few concerns, but I'll just put this out just for folks to think about. Imagine there's a young man that's 18 years old, maybe 17 years old. He's acting out because whatever, he grew up on his own, has no leadership, no direction, and he hung out with the wrong people at the wrong time, and he got in trouble. And we recorded that issue. And then that issue is stored on video. And if we don't have the proper policy in place, what if someone wants to get back at him and somehow pull that information out and go ahead and put it on YouTube or on the internet? What if yourself, if you're having an argument with your spouse or with someone else, and someone thinks that you're actually having a fight and calls the police and say, hey, there is a fight with my neighbors, and there was no fight, but yet they come out, their cameras are on, and they're recording you. They come into the privacy of your home, record the situation, you're not dressed properly, your probably home's a mess, and now this is on camera, and this gets stored on the cloud. And then what is the policy and procedure to pull that information? So there's a lot of policy that is being worked on, and I know in time it will come, everything will be in a better position, but I think that when we make that decision, it needs to be a thought-out decision, not something that's forced upon us because of the current state of affairs. And I know, I've read and listened and done my research where folks throughout the communities, throughout the states are being pressured to purchase these cameras and to put them on because they figure it's going to solve the problems. And there are studies and results that show that it's not 100% proof, and it's still a work in action. So we need to be mindful that when we roll out this program, once you put it out there, you can't reel it in as easy. So again, my position is always to give our officers and their staff everything they need that's going to make them do their job 100%. If this is a tool that is not 100% and it's going to work against, I'm not going to be in support of it. But I'm not saying I'm not in support of cameras in time. So again, for the pressure. So Chief and Council, I know everyone up here is taking a beating, and everyone has a right to their opinion. Vice Rota, we'll wait for him to come back. Richard, I got a question for Richard. Chief and Council, we stand up here and we have to have thick skin and we have to take punches and lies from individuals when they have no idea what we do and how we serve the community and how much we care. So, Chief and your staff, we've always stood behind you. I continue to stand behind you for what you do. We know that you handle this properly. We know that this is in the proper hands. And Mr. Manager, thank you for your job. When you tried to explain with facts on our position and why we have not answered, why we have not taken any steps, why we've been silent as council, because we have a responsibility to wait for a process. The process is to wait. I have a question that we need to get an answer. So somehow, where are we with the State Department or whoever is handling this case? I think it's been over a year already, if I'm, understanding what's going on. But is there any way that we keep tabs and find out where we're at on this, and can we put pressure on them? Because this is affecting our community. I know that this is affecting our community in a negative way because folks are not tuning in anymore because they don't want to see everything that is happening here, both good and bad. It's leaving a bad taste in the community's mouth from what I hear and see. And so I think it's important that we get an answer as quickly as possible and put some pressure on the State Department somehow to get this resolved.
I can tell you that we have checked and tried to urge them to come to some conclusions on these cases, but they have the answers that, they have other cases. I'd be happy to make another inquiry on behalf of the city to report back to you where these cases are It may be just that they're pending and that's it, but I certainly can do that, and we'll report back to you at the next meeting.
So, I mean, this is really affecting our community, and I think that, it's a shame that we're waiting. I'd hate to see or know that it's pending and we're not getting an answer that we need to put, some closure on this. And so again, Mayor and Council, as a citizen, I'm upset at how these things are being handled, and thank you for being gentlemen and being honorable and how you deal with these cases. We have to bite our tongue and hold back when someone's calling us out or saying lies or things that they don't understand. So just want to put that on the record for you guys. So just thank you for all that you do. Know that I support you guys 110%, as well as this community. So the community as a whole. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you, sir. And Richard, I would say that you have, this would be their second time reaching out to the state attorney's office. You have been monitoring this. I know you and the manager both. We had this conversation earlier today that the decision of guilt or innocence is not in our hands.
No, it's not.
It's not in our hands. It's in the hands of another agency. So it's unfortunate that we're where we are, and they appear to be dragging their feet so much. But I agree, Mr. Maldonado. It's got to come to a head more quickly than because it is tearing the community apart. Mr. Roth.
Yeah, just real quick, I don't want to go on about the body cameras. I'm assuming that debate will come up eventually before us, and we can talk about that. I just want to say once again that I do stand behind our men in blue, and not only do I stand behind you guys, I will stand with you as well in the fight to keep our citizens safe. I am 100% dedicated to getting you the proper equipment that you need in the future, the proper radio systems for communication, and I also want to say thank you to the dispatchers at the police department who have to handle so many calls on a day-to-day basis for their support and their help. They work hand in hand with our officers out there in the street, and I monitor the radio. I hear what goes on. I know some of the problems that exist out there, and I will stand behind you and with you as we continue to improve the Homestead Police Department and the citizens of our city. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shelley.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to echo my support for our police department. We have a very hardworking police force and a force that has a culture of respect. I mean, if you go back, and I kind of occasionally like to sit home late at night and watch cops on TV, and when Homestead Police Department comes on, they're always treating the people that they're dealing with respect, and they're looking for a way to solve the problem, not necessarily make the arrest. And that goes back, that's a culture that's been fostered here for years and years and years, and it continues. And so I want to thank you for what you guys do for our community as a police department, as a whole, for the quick response times that you have. When we walk door to door during campaign season, it's always positive things that we hear about the police department and the efforts you guys are making, especially given the fact that you're shorthanded and you're working with a short staff. And you're doing, incredible things with the amount of staff that you have. So I know we get beat up here, you guys are getting beat up, and sometimes it gets frustrating to always get some negative comments made your way, and sometimes you just need someone to say thank you and someone to say we appreciate you. And so I want to do that tonight and say we thank you and we appreciate you for all that you do for the city of Homestead. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Chief, I'd like to say it's a tough time to be in the police department right now, anywhere in this nation, and it's unfortunate, but I want to, echo a lot of the same comments, but at the end of the day, people don't realize how much trouble we would be in if we lived in a lawless community without the men and women in blue out there protecting us day in and day out. You think there's a problem? You guys quit doing what you do, then you'll see a problem. This place, you won't be able to fit the people in this room, in this building. So my heart goes out to the discussions that we're going through right now nationwide. You do have the full support, I believe, of the community. I know you have the full support of the council. You certainly have my full support. But my one thing is, don't quit. Don't quit, don't give up. Don't get down. Just keep doing what you're doing and keep us safe, keep protecting us. That's all I ask. We're here. It's tough what we're having to go through, but I just plead with you and your officers. Don't quit. Don't quit.
Mayor?
All right. Mr. Manager?
A couple of things I wanted to mention because, the city attorney and I have been sitting here now. I guess collectively we spent a lot of years sitting on a dais, and we've had, bad meetings over the years from time to time. It's the nature of the business that we're in, and we also recognize that this amazing country that we live in allows the citizenry to come up and say whatever they want for the most part. And God bless America for that, because that's what we love most about this country. So when we sit here quietly and we hear people say outrageous things, just want to make sure people don't mistake that for, oh, we're sitting here doing nothing. We're basically, and the reason why this chambers is so beautiful is because in this chambers we celebrate democracy. We glorify the system that we have here, the idea that elected officials, the people's representatives, sit on this dais and hear from the people that brought them here and put them here, and that they represent the idea that people can come here and say what they want, even though many times they say things we don't agree with, many times they say things that are not true, many times they say things that are hurtful. But I would also ask you all to think about this. No matter what we do here, we have to all understand the tremendous grief that a mother would have for the death of her son. And so, regardless of who the son is, regardless of the kind of life, whatever the case may be, a mother has a right and a little extra discretion to spend some time grieving in her own way, which sometimes makes us all feel a little badly. But I wanted to say a few more things. So to the people who question why about the officer, we've spent a tremendous amount of time explaining the cases that Officer Green was involved with. It's 20 minutes, probably you can find on the internet. I forget which date it was we had the meeting, but all of the facts. And the reason it was important to mention those facts is because I didn't spend a whole lot of time making comments. I spent most of my time reading the closeout letters from the state attorney's office. See, at the end of the day, we can spend every month talking about this issue, and the people who come here to talk about this issue have a right to come every single month to talk about it, even though they've already heard the facts, they know what the truth is. The truth of the matter is this is not the arena. The arena is now in the form of the state attorney's office, who has the authority and the jurisdiction to investigate these matters and draw conclusions based on the propriety of the police officer's conduct. The reason Officer Green is still working in this department is because each and every time there was a discharge of the weapon, the state attorney's office came back with a report clearing the officer. And in this beautiful country, where in these chambers we glorify democracy, we also glorify the concept that in this country you are innocent until proven guilty. And so it is very painful, officers, I know, to sit here and listen to this. I would just ask several things of you. Number one, know that we support you. Know that we are here, we have your back, and it's not just the mayor and council, it's the city attorney, the city clerks, myself, my staff. We're here, Chief, we are here for you every step of the way. I have been the subject of many accusations over the years that were unfair and unfounded, and I know how painful it is to sit there and bite your tongue and take it, but trust me, we are here glorifying democracy, and part of that sometimes is a painful process. And I know, Mayor, you do a really good job of trying to keep these things under control, but sometimes democracy is messy. Sometimes it doesn't look so good. It may not look good on the cameras when whoever is there waving their cell phones will edit it and put it on the internet and put captions that are not true, that are flat out lies. But the fact of the matter is, we glorify democracy by hearing this and sitting here and be patient and letting our fellow citizens say what they want to say. But to the officers, I say, please understand, part of what your responsibilities are, why you have those guns and you have those badges, is to maintain law and order and to protect this country that we love so much, the democracy that we glorify here. You're out there on the front lines every day making sure that this country continues to be the great country that it is. So I ask you, be patient, try to understand the grieving family. I know it's painful to hear them, but their grieving process will continue for a while, and we need to understand and love them. I say to the citizens, what we have here is a responsibility to the rule of law. There is a process and procedure in place for your elected state attorney to review these matters and to come to conclusions. And whatever the conclusions are, we will abide by. But until this time, this officer, who has been cleared in each and every case, has been found justified in his actions and will continue to work in this department until something else changes in which his conduct is not justified. And so far, nothing has been brought to our attention that would justify taking him out of his position. Nor would we be able to legally to take him, and I heard some outrageous things about termination, and we have a responsibility to follow the law. And finally, I'm going to just read you this. I hope it'll bring some comfort, because I will tell you, for me, it brings me some comfort from time to time when I have sat on a dais and been abused. And I know there is no greater mission in life than to serve your fellow human beings. So I know you're out there and what you're doing, and I don't want you to get discouraged. And I'm going to read this. It's a very famous quote, and it reads as follows. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Create anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. Be happy anyway. To the good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. Give the best you have, and it will never be enough. Give your best anyway. Because in the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. So please keep going. Let's stay on course here. We have many things in this city to accomplish. Everybody up here has a good heart, is doing the best they can. And if from time to time this looks messy and sounds messy and feels messy, just understand, look at the coffered ceiling, look at the fancy glass. It's not there because we like fine things. It's there because we glorify democracy and we believe in the principles that our founding fathers created some 200 years ago, and let's celebrate that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. We're going to start with tab 1, which is the presentation about the proposed capital improvement plan. Who's got that, Mr. Manager?
Carlos, you're on.
Carlos?
Mayor and Council, in your agenda package, you have the proposed 5-year plan, 2017 through 2021.
Hold on just a second. I think we're going to have a quote. You're going to... Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Carlos. I'm sorry.
You've got the proposed CIP plan for the fiscal year 2017-2021. That also includes the funding request for the projects for fiscal year 2017. In addition to what's in your package, the council was provided under separate cover a justification form for every project that is in that plan. Alternatively, we've got a 92-slide presentation that we're prepared to go through, or alternatively, unless this council has any objections to any one of those projects or any questions that they have that we could answer, we would basically recommend that the council approve the plan as proposed, and it will be included in the proposed budget that will be brought before you in September.
Any council members want to go through a 92-slide proposal? Hearing none, we'll forego the proposal. Do you need anything from us, Mr. Manager, on this? This is just a presentation. It's just going to be it'll be in the budget.
Yes, so we just wanted to bring it to your attention just in case there was any objections or questions or additions, but that's primarily the program. You'll see it again as we go through the budget hearing process.
Okay, we'll move on then. Tab 2 is the consent agenda. Is there a motion? Is there a second? All in favor? We did 17, 18, 19. We're on tab 20, correct?
We are. An ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending Article 3, Boards, Committees, Commissions of Chapter 2, Administration of the City of Homestead Code of Ordinances by amending Section 268 membership qualifications and Section 2111 creation, composition, and qualifications, increasing the membership of the Education Committee, providing for severability, for conflicts, for codification, and an effective date. This is the second reading and public hearing.
This is at the request of the Vice Mayor, who is the chair of this committee. And is there any comments from council, questions from council? This is a public hearing, expanding the Education Committee. Close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk. Oh, was there a motion? Moved, second? Okay. Roll call, Madam Clerk. Yes. Tab 21.
An ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city code by amending Chapter 30 zoning, Article 4 supplemental district regulations, Division 2 off-street parking to modify the regulations for disabled persons, parking spaces, providing for severability, inclusion in the code, conflicts, and an effective date. Second reading and public hearing.
This gets us to conform with state law, right? Right?
Yes.
This is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Is there a motion? Moved. Is there a second? Second. Roll call, Madam Clerk. Yes. 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 Tab 22's been pulled. Tab 23.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, calling a special election on proposed amendments to the city charter, proposing amendments to Section 205 vacancies, forfeiture of office, filling of vacancies, to provide for mayoral succession and revised procedures for filling council vacancies. Section 601 elections, to provide for appointment of the vice mayor, proposing the creation of Section 905 transitional provisions to facilitate the appointment of vice mayor, providing for submission to the electors for approval or disapproval of the proposed charter amendments, providing for the requisite ballot language, providing for notice, providing for related matters, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Questions from council, Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. Unfortunately, I missed the cow the other night when this was, I believe, discussed a little bit, but I'm a little bit dismayed. I appreciate the committee's efforts and all that, but I think that one of the things I'm dismayed about is that two people that were very boisterous, I guess, or leading on there were not residents of the city. And we still have two things that I think are very important that were left out. We don't have a 4-year term, and they're making recommendations. We make the final determination here tonight. And we also don't have single-member districts. And I believe that it is time for this city to seriously consider that. And I don't believe serious enough consideration was given in the discussions that I saw. And I know that this was an ad hoc committee, but they were there. And I still believe firmly that single-member districts would help this city get better representation in the future, down the road. It would make it not a full-time job to campaign. You wouldn't have to raise $80,000 and be under the umbrella of beholden to somebody, as people try to say. And I think that the pool of candidates that could come forth and would attempt to run for office would grow and increase and maybe even be better than what we get, because people wouldn't be discouraged with not being able to raise the funds that are necessary. If we went to single-member districts, you would be able to run a full campaign with about $8,000, if that even, $3,000. Because most of your neighbors know who you are, know what you stand for and all that. You still are up here making decisions for the city. But if you go back and look at the history of some of our elections, and you can go all the way back to my election in 2005. I won every precinct but one and lost the election. You can go back to some of the elections in Waterstone and see that people that were chosen by their neighborhoods, or in Keysgate even, or the Northwest, I'm not sure, I can't remember their history. But the people that were chosen by their neighborhoods didn't win the election. And I don't think that's fair representation in the city. So I would like for us tonight to have a little discussion, if we could. If not, then I understand. people have their minds made up and we'll move forward. But that's what I would like to have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shelley?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I wanted to just clarify, because during the Charter Review Committee, we had 2 or 3 meetings that discussed specifically single-member districts. The first meeting, we actually had an expert come in from FAU or FIU who gave a kind of a talk about what the pros and cons were of single-member districts, allowed the committee to ask questions of that expert, to ask them what his experience, what he's seen with single-member districts. And so we had a full discussion at that time. We had a second meeting in which the body discussed amongst itself the various pros and cons of single-member districts. And 2 of the things that I think really were discussed the most that maybe swayed the committee in the direction that they chose was when we looked at the prior history of the voting, we determined that certain districts could have been elected by a total of 50 residents, that 50 voters could have elected a council person that was supposed to represent the entire city. And that was in one of the smaller districts. I think that was either Waterstone or Oasis at the time. So with 50 people, 50 votes, you could be elected to represent the entire city of Homestead. And then we looked at some of the bigger districts, and we found that in the bigger districts, even the Keys Gate or the Villages districts, you really only needed 250 people. 250 residents, electoral residents, could elect a representative for the entire city. And I think that was some of the issues that when the committee members saw that and saw those numbers, is what swayed them or what made them decide that it didn't make sense for single-member districts. The other thing that they got information about was that in the entire Miami-Dade County, there was only 2 or 3 cities that have single-member districts. The rest all have either at-large or a hybrid, which is what the city of Homestead has. You have to live in the district, but you're elected citywide. And so that was the other thing that I think the committee looked at and saw that, there was a reason why these other cities had chosen to operate in the way in which those cities had operated, and not necessarily go to a single-member district. The other item that was raised and discussed at length as well dealt with, do absentee ballots have an effect on the election process? And one of the arguments being made was that absentee ballots through a particular district may help sway an election one way or another, and was that fair or not fair in the process? And when we looked at the numbers, it turned out that really no one district had an abnormally large amount of absentee ballots or absentee votes by ballot. That it was pretty equal across the board. Some were higher, some were lower, but it wasn't that one district only voted by absentee. But absentee ballots, as we noticed across time, has obviously increased. We know that as elected officials as we run campaigns, but it also showed in some of the numbers we looked at that showed that in general, absentee ballots are being used across all districts, not just one particular district. So I will say that it was thoroughly debated, it was thoroughly discussed. We did have a chance to look at those items, and ultimately the committee made the recommendation 6-1. So I just want to make sure that was clear for the record, that there was plenty of debate and discussion on this item. It was thoroughly vetted, and ultimately the committee decided on a 6-1 vote to stay in the current system where we are.
Anything else, sir? Mr. Burgess?
Thank you. And I appreciate the effort of you and the committee, because I know that it's a process, and I've sat on one of those committees and to get people there for a quorum and all that. So I appreciate your efforts and the mayor putting it in your plate instead of my plate. I certainly do appreciate. I guess my question to Mr. Pearl then would be, have we looked at, in the single-member districts, when this expert came, did he talk about proper representation of race and things like that, like the ACLU? Because somebody has come into me and said the ACLU, if we don't go to single-member districts, it would plan on coming down here and filing a lawsuit against us because they don't believe we're giving our residents proper representation. And maybe you can clarify that for me, or do you think we're within the guidelines where if they were to come here, we wouldn't have an issue?
I'd be happy to, and this was also one of the items that was thoroughly discussed. And the issue that was raised by Dr. Schultz of FAU was that what you might see happen in the event you go to single-member districts is you get sort of you are required to maintain a more equal distribution of population when you have single-member districts in order to ensure that you are not violating the basic principle of, one person, one vote. Because if you have a more desperate, and it's really, the courts have treated it about a 10% variant between districts. If you start to exceed that in a single-member district system, you start to dilute the vote of a particular district area, and that can result in the type of thing that you're talking about. Courts have given a much wider breadth when you are looking at at-large elections with residential areas, because everybody's vote is essentially equal. So nobody's being disenfranchised by a larger variant in the population of any given district. So on those grounds, the system you have is
better
far
than
more
the other.
protective and effective in addressing the concerns that you're raising.
Right. Well, I would still like to put a motion out there tonight that we, as a body, go against the wishes of the board, and that we place a 4-year term on the ballot for the mayor's position. And whether or not there's support, I don't know, but I know I support it. I think that we have seen over the last few years what stability can do for a city with the growth that we have and the plan that we're marching forward. And I think the instability that comes with a 2-year term just really makes it tough for a city to keep moving forward as it needs to move. If we're entrusting our citizens to vote on who they believe is the right person, then I think a 4-year term is the right term for our mayor also. And I'll make that motion and hope there's a second.
Is there a second? Well, I'll second it for discussion, because, what I'd like to ask Mr. Shelley, now, you were present at all of the meetings. So what was the rationale of the committee to say no to the recommendation of 4-year terms? Because Mr. Burgess it's not self-serving for me. I think that he brings up a valid point as to stability, because I've served on a council when we couldn't keep a manager and we couldn't keep a mayor, we couldn't keep anything, and the city suffered horribly for that. Was it the process of staggering elections? But can you bring us up to speed on that?
Yes, that was the first item we discussed, so I'm trying to remember the discussion, and it was probably the quickest item that we discussed. There wasn't a whole lot of debate. I think we wrapped it up in probably half a meeting or a meeting or so, give or take. But a lot of it was the staggering, because it was the ability for any particular council person to maybe jump over and become mayor at any time, so that the council person didn't have to wait a whole term off in order to run for re-election. That was one of them. One of them was the ability to change out the perceived head of the city, so that in the event that they, if I remember right, and correct me if I'm wrong, city attorney, but I remember that was the other item that was discussed, was the ability that the public liked the ability to pull a mayor 2 years in versus waiting for 4 years, because the perception is that the mayor is the figurehead of the city. And so it's a way of the public being able to indicate their approval or dissatisfaction potentially with the way in which the city is moving. They could do that in 2 years versus having to wait for 4 years. And that was really, I think, if I remember right, the two major items. Do you remember any other?
No, I think that the primary focus of the discussion was accountability versus stability, and they lent themselves more to favoring holding somebody to greater accountability by more frequent elections.
Okay. Well, again, I at the end of the day, every vote up here is the same. This vote as a mayor carries no more weight than any other vote up here. So I understand the perception of the community's, perceived mayor position. But, at this particular point in time, I just go with what the recommendation of the committee is, because I know there's a staggering question that we would have to deal with about there would be a rollover position. Someone would either have to lose time or gain time, because you'd have to be able to figure out how to stagger that election, because you wouldn't want to have a council election without a mayoral candidate in it, because it would be again, if the perception of the mayor's position is all that important, if it's not on the ticket, is anybody going to show up? And I think that was one of the discussions that over many years of talking about the 2-year as opposed to 4-year, was being able to stagger that cycle of elections. So unless we can figure that out, it's kind of, I don't know. Mr. Shelley?
Yeah, you actually did jog my memory, and that was one of the other major items that was discussed as well, had to deal with voter turnout, because we already have a hard enough time getting our our residents to come out and vote in our elections. And so if you didn't have a mayor candidate on the election or to be voted for, what kind of election would you possibly have? Especially at that time, we hadn't discussed the vice mayor issue at all. And so the question was, if you had unopposed, a couple of unopposed people, then you could in theory only have one or two people on a ballot and nothing to draw them out. So that was one of the discussions we did have as well. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Maldonado?
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to put some of my thoughts on the record in regards to this. First, I support the recommendation of this committee. I think we all, took time to choose someone that would represent the city in a fairness, and we met our criteria. And I know that the discussions were well discussed, and I have full confidence that Mr. Shelley was in there doing what he does and making sure everything is done properly. So, I think that there needs to be the consideration of, and obviously it's a recommendation, we can challenge it, and I respect that, Mr. Burgess. But from my position, I stand behind the recommendation of this committee. I think I wasn't able to have a discussion when it was brought up. I was out of town. I was in Washington at that time. I think it was at a Cal. You guys had a discussion on it. I really had no input. I didn't have the opportunity to give my input on it. And so I just, got back in town and enough time to choose someone to represent, for myself to choose someone, and I was at the last minute. I mean, got back and they said by Friday there was a deadline, they needed to have a name. I put a name up there, and that person was in there doing what we asked. The one, I'll talk about my position on the single member district and what my concern is. My concern was the fact that I think that, yes, it's going to make the election for ourselves easier, to walk and to just focus on our district. There's a lot of pros and cons to it. The ability just to focus on one community is a pro, but I think that's also a con. My concern is that, what happens if what happens if there's an elected official, and I don't want to open a conversation, I just want to share my thought. What if one elected official that represented a certain district wasn't doing what they were voted to do and they have a 4-year term? Then, it's a fault, I don't want to say it's a fault, but the people who chose that person is the one that's going to do representing. So then, if I then have to just look at my community, because I think it's going to turn our attention to how we focus on the city. And right now, it's spread across. I represent every district in this community, even though that we are voted in the separate district. But if that's the case, then guess what? I think my fear and concern is that I'm just going to focus on my little world of my district. Any monies that the manager has, I'm going to be fighting for those monies for my district. And if you want something on your district, at what time do we start to argue that? And it really opens up a whole different area that I think we've not gone into in quite some time, over probably 100 years or so. It's kind of held the test of time, and so that's my concern. I know it's easy to walk and campaign. I know that we don't have to raise money and be held to anyone, like they say that for be held to anyone. But I guess my main concern is that I think some of the elected officials, and that's my fear, I hope not, but that we're going to put blinders to the rest of the community that we serve and just focus on ours. That was my main concern with that. And in the sense of the 4-year term, Mayor, you just mentioned what was my concern, and where if the mayor is on a 4-year term, that there's going to be a time that there's not going to be a mayor on the ticket, and the turnout is low as it is, and so it's definitely going to affect that, and we all know that. So the minute that we go to the 4-year term mayor, the citizens are going to, if they don't agree with the mayor and they want to vote him out, they're going to have to wait quite some time for that to happen, and it's also going to throw us off in the sense of when he is running, who's not, the other council are not going to have a mayor there. So that's kind of my position on those two items. And again, I stand behind the recommendation of our committee. I think they did a thorough job. I know you had everyone there. Mr. Shelley, congratulations on that. And that's it for me.
Question, we need to extend the meeting, correct? Is there a motion to extend for 30
Move
minutes?
it.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. One thing I would say about one of the concerns of a single-member district for me would be east side against west side. Right now, the numbers are stacked on the east side, and it could turn out to be where if everybody uses the analogy of representing just their neighborhood without looking across, you could be in a situation where the west side really gets left behind in this whole process. So there is a motion on the table to put on the agenda 4-year term for the mayor. Is moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Aye. Now, Mr. Manager, how does this get advertised to the public? It's going, what's the process for the community to know this is going to be on the ballot?
I can partially answer the question. Part of the requirements are legal requirements, which Elizabeth, the clerk's office will take care of, and she could talk about that. If the council wants to have more of a, not required, but a public informational campaign, I would turn that part over to the manager. But there's certain legal requirements that have to be done. The clerk's office will do that, and maybe you could go through that, Elizabeth or Matt.
Well, the concern is because this is going on a national election where you're going to have a large amount of people that are going to be voting, in a municipal be voting on a municipal item maybe once for the first time in a long time, because generally in the national election you get a lot more turnout of single vote, single vote voters. So, in the interest of trying to get as much education to them as possible, is outside of the legal limits, but maybe some other tools that we could try to do some education as well.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll put a draft plan together and get back to you with some ideas.
That's perfect. Thank you, sir. This is a public hearing on this item, putting this on the November election. Mr. McDuffie? Oh.
That I didn't write
That's okay.
one of those cards.
No, this is all public hearing.
Being that I ran for council myself, I honestly have to say, Mayor, that I support you 100%, regardless of a 4 or 2 year term. I'd say do it every 2 years because the citizens would want to be able to see their head guy or gal at the top of the ticket. It turns out voter turnout, that's what we've seen in pretty much every election across the county-wide and otherwise. When it comes to staggering the terms, it would really hurt the citizens across the city if we were to just have 3 for one and then 4 for another year. That just looking at that, it just doesn't add up to being a good alternative for everybody to have. So going forward, love to keep the terms at 2 years. I got
It's
you.
already decided.
You're good. You're ready to go. And the rest of you guys, you are doing a fantastic job. But for the way the committee is, the other suggestions are fabulous. Good job on the committee, Councilman Shelley. But for that one specifically, for the 2 year term for the mayor, just keep it that way, so that way people can have their chance to say something, and then it also turns out voter turnout. Thanks.
Okay, any more public comments? Yes, sir.
Make one comment. I was a member of the committee, and I think one aspect with respect to the 2 year versus 4 year terms is if there was a 4 year term, it would not be possible to elect a majority of the council each time. In other words, the mayor is the swing vote, and that was one thing that was discussed.
I appreciate that. And, it's been, like I said, for Mr. Shelley, it's been a long time ago. But I will say, Mr. Burgess, you bring up a very valid point about stability. And, again, it's a quagmire that we're in. I mean, right now, I think maybe we stay with the 4 year term. Let's get some more stability in the city. 2 year term, and we can always revisit this again. But I will say, yeah, exactly. We're starting right away. But I will say for the health of the city, a 4 year run at an elected body is much more positive for the community because everybody, the staff, just everybody can cohese around an effort that you're not looking at 50% of your time being wasted running for reelection. So But I think at this particular point in time, for me, for us, obviously the majority, we're going to go forward with this to the voter with 2-year terms, the recommendations of the committee. So, but you're spot on with your thoughts, I will have to say. I close the public hearing. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess? Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 24.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, establishing a proposed operating millage rate of ad valorem taxation, and establishing a proposed millage rate for debt service on the general obligation bonds for fiscal year October 1st, 2016, and ending September 30th, 2017.
Mr. Manager? Anything?
Carlos is going to.
Carlos? Hold on, Carlos. Okay.
Mayor and council, staff recommends that the mayor and council adopt the attached resolution providing a proposed operating millage rate of 5.9215 and proposed voted debt millage rate of 0.5934 per $1,000 of assessed value of ad valorem taxation for real and personal property within the city of Homestead. These millage rates are the same as last year's millage rates and to be implemented beginning on October 1st, 2016 and ending September 30th of 2017. At the gross taxable value of $2,316,513,457, an operating millage of 5.9215 mils will yield ad valorem revenues at 95% of the city of $11,755,639 and $1,275,733 for the Community Redevelopment Agency, a total of $13,031,372. At a gross taxable value of the same amount, a debt millage rate of 0.5934 will yield revenue at 95% for a debt service of $1,305,888. Pursuant to Section 200.081 Florida statute limits maximum operating millage rate that municipalities may levy to 10 mills. And then these would be heard at the tentative budget hearings as stated there, and whatever's decided tonight, that will be sent out by the county in the trim notice that goes out in late August.
Questions from council? This is a public hearing. Mr. McDuffie, you wanted to speak in this one? Anyone who would like to speak in this, you're welcome to come forward.
I speak in favor of the millage rate for this term, considering that last year's property taxes for my house was not too bad, and that now that I'm elected to a CDD for Baywinds on seat 2, we'd like to see this over in the east side in the vineyards. So we'd like to see this move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Close the public hearing. Carlos, what's the budget on the police department?
The budget for the police department is approximately $22 million.
Just to kind of bring everything into perspective of the millage rate, what it yields to the city, and the cost of some of the things that are being provided, i.e. the police are not even covered.
That's correct. It almost doesn't even cover half of the police budget alone.
Right. Thank you, sir. Any other comments, questions? Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? Roll call, Madam Clerk. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Tab 25.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving and accepting final settlement of Parcel 2 of the Downtown Area Public Parking Expansion Project, providing for an effective date.
Anything from the staff?
Mayor Pete Waldman is here to explain this item.
Mayor and Council, this is settlement of Parcel 2 of the Downtown Parking Garage Project. The property is located at 87 Southwest 1st Street. It's a 4-unit apartment complex. The total settlement, inclusive of all fees and costs, is the amount of $255,000, which is within the range of the per unit comps that our appraiser found for the property as contained in his appraisal report. This settlement would also result, this case is currently in suit. This settlement would also result in a savings of approximately $15,000 in additional litigation costs if the case were to continue.
Mr. Manager, this is the property that we need for the parking garage, correct?
Yes, one of several. This one here is resolved, and we have a few more in the queue.
Any comments from council, questions from council? This is a public hearing. You're welcome to come speak for or against this, acquiring property. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Is there a motion? Move it. Is there a second? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Yes.
Yes. Tab 26.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, indicating the official intent of the city to issue tax-exempt bonds in the amount of $22 million to finance the cost of a public parking garage to be used primarily as a multimodal park and ride facility for the county's bus system and other transportation systems, and to make ancillary road improvements, to use a portion of the proceeds of such bonds to reimburse expenditures paid or incurred prior to the date of issuance thereof, providing an effective date.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, in advance of a possible issuance of transportation tax revenue bonds, staff recommends mayor and council approve the attached resolution indicating the city's official intent to issue transportation tax revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $22 million to partially finance the cost of a multimodal transit center. A portion of the cost of the project may be paid before the bonds are issued in anticipation of reimbursement of such expenditures from the proceeds of the bonds. Staff is finalizing cost estimates and probable funding sources for the facility. As part of the due diligence in creating these estimates, staff is engaging necessary services from various vendors. Once the analysis is complete, staff will present council with a cost and financing package for its approval. The intent resolution is necessary if the city intends to use proceeds from the bonds to reimburse project expenditures incurred prior to the issuance of the bonds.
Questions from council? This is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing at this time. The funding is mostly probably at this point, Mr. Manager, going to be people's transportation tax dollars unless some of the other issues move forward.
Right, unless we find some other, but right now, that's the track we're on.
You got a funding mechanism that's transportation tax dollars already. For
Right, if we're going to get reimbursed for some of these preliminary expenses, you have to declare now. If you're going to end up using those bond monies, you're going to have to declare now so that you can get the reimbursement. Otherwise, you won't get reimbursed for those expenditures.
Got it. Got it. Thank you, sir. Anything from the public? I'll close the public hearing at this time. Anything from council? Is there a motion? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilman Shelley? Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 27.
Jeff DiCarlo,
28,
thank you for sitting here through the meeting. Appreciate
Sir?
it.
Sir?
Resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, adopting Miami-Dade County local mitigation strategy and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager.
Staff recommends mayor and council approve the proposed resolution adopting the updated Miami-Dade County Local Mitigation Strategy Plan. State and FEMA periodically require local governments to adopt an approved local mitigation strategy in order to apply for, receive, expend, and subaward grant funds under various mitigation project funding programs. Miami-Dade County Office of Emergency Management is designated as the local coordinator of the LMS program for the Miami-Dade County area. The LMS supports improvements in local government standing and classifications in the National Flood Insurance Program Community Rating System, with the related consequences of making flood insurance under the NFIP more affordable for property owners. The county previously adopted an LMS on September 1st, 2015, pursuant to County Resolution Number R68315.
Questions from council? This is a public hearing. It's kind of required, so. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Final comments? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Second. Moving and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Shelley? Yes. Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilman Maldonado? Councilman Burgess? Yes. Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 29.
Repurposing of federal earmark transportation project funding.
Mr. Mr. Manager?
Mayor, staff has been made aware of that the funding for several transportation-related projects in the city of Homestead that have lain dormant for many years are available to be repurposed for the new multimodal transportation hub project in the Homestead Historic Downtown District. Recently, the Federal Highway Administration listed 2 Homestead projects earmarked before 2006 as eligible for repurposing in an effort to support infrastructure projects. FDOT has the authority to repurpose these funds to any project within 50 miles of the city. Homestead is in danger of possibly losing this funding if it does not act immediately. Similarly, the county has approached the city with an opportunity to reallocate the funds that were set aside in 2009 for a project in Homestead that was not moved forward. The projects and the detail for these 3 projects are listed in your packet. And if you have questions, Julio is here to answer. Basically, we're just looking to get some direction. If you're okay with us moving forward, we'll communicate with these agencies and let them know we want to move forward with the repurposing.
Mr. Shelley?
Thank you, Mayor. I have two of these items. I've had some discussion with staff, so I kind of know the answers, but just for record purposes, I want to have the discussion here. And that is, there's 2 projects. There's the 328th Street project, and there's the Campbell Drive project, both of which I think are probably projects we need to look at going forward. The Lucy Street one I get because we're almost $4 million upside down in order to complete that project. So that one I support going ahead and repurposing those funds. The Campbell Drive one, that's over in my district. I think to extend or 4-lane Campbell Drive from Chrome to 187th makes a lot of sense. It's good for that community. But my biggest question I have deals with right-of-way acquisition, because it shows there's not a huge discrepancy between dollars in hand versus projected cost to actually build this project. But does that include right-of-way? Do we already have the right-of-way we need to build that project, or are those additional expenses that aren't accounted for here?
Julio?
Yes, Mayor and Council. Basically, Councilman Shelley, regarding the Campbell Drive project, that project currently has a right-of-way of 55 feet. In order to go to 4 lanes, you will more than likely have to go to 80 feet wide, which would require basically a 25-foot segment to be acquired, either one side of the project or split up on each side of the roadway. Looking at that, the costs that we put on here were just for construction. Right-of-way acquisition, we don't like putting those numbers down because a lot of times they're negotiated and we can't really pin it down. But if we use Lucy Street as an example, a right-of-way acquisition at $20 to $25 per square foot, we're talking about probably about $2.6 million more in terms of cost for acquisition of right-of-way.
Okay, plus that's a narrow corridor if you look through there, and a lot of those are houses, at least from Chrome to about the railroad tracks before you get into more of the industrial side of things. So you're talking about taking people's essentially front property, putting the roadway almost right up next to their walkway. I mean, there's not a whole lot of front yard space there anyways between the sidewalk and the house. So that helps me as far as making the decision to repurpose, 1, because of the dollar value, 2, because of the time. We don't have the right-of-way as of now, so by the time we get the ability to even think about moving down that path and acquire that right-of-way, we'd be better off repurposing the dollars now and then working on that project in the future. So just want to put that on the record.
All right, so thank you. Julio, let's talk about 328 past Northgate to the east to 160 whatever
160
Speedway. Okay, if it's not going to be 4-lane, I know Larry Ventura's here representing the basin. I know they had some concerns about sprawl. The road's not that good right now. So what can, if we take all the monies away, when are we going to be able to get some sort of, just, even if we keep it at 2 lanes, just improve it at 2 lanes? You follow my question?
Yes. And actually, to answer that, the funding that the federal government gives for these type of projects are for capacity improvements, so they wouldn't be eligible for just improving the surface per se for resurfacing or something to that end. For that, we could use PTP funding, which we have set aside some funding that we're not using for the multimodal to take care of those type of issues throughout the city. But federal monies would not be eligible for that type of use.
That's fine. My concern is that we forego any improvements out there at all, because I know you guys go out there, half the time it's flooded. In a really rainy part of the year, you'll have 2 feet of water out into the middle of the road because it's not improved well enough to. So 4-laning it, okay, but improving it, not doing some improvement out there. I'd rather see us, put that on the radar screen for down the road.
No
So,
problem. We'll take a look at it.
Any other questions? So, Mr. Manager, what do you need from us? Just
Unless there's any objection, we'll move forward and communicate with those
the
agencies.
objection from the council? You're good.
Thank you.
We got to the end of this thing already? My goodness. Business from the city manager?
Yes, Mayor, Rick, did you want to talk about that?
This is not, it's under her report.
Right, the vice mayor asked that Rick, since he was at the meeting, explain what this item is and why it's,
You want to do, I didn't know if she wanted to do tab 30. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, she wanted to do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, we could do it now, or we could do it during the council reports. I didn't mean to jump ahead.
Let's go ahead and do it. I mean,
Okay.
Rick's up, let's go ahead and do it and get it over with, and then,
It's very simple. It would be an MOU between Big Brothers and Big Sisters in the police department for a program that they have that's called Bigs in Blue. It's a mentoring program. The organization will match volunteer police officers in our department with elementary age kids in Homestead at the commitment for each officer is a year. They've been very successful with this, and it's really, considering what's been going on recently in the country as a whole and in Homestead, this is one of those programs that they believe could really kind of get the police into the community. They're looking to use West Homestead Elementary, but they also are considering other schools in the area.
Chief, how's this fit with your plans? Good for you? Good? Okay. Any questions from council? Is there a motion? Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Rick, I want to say something. Thank you. I know this is your last here in Homestead. Congratulations on your new job, your promotion, your more money, getting back closer to family, all those things that you want. And we really want to sincerely say to you, thank you for coming down here. You've been a huge part of major projects, one of which we're sitting in, one of which the chief is going to be moving into, one of which we had the Seminole Theater, all the positive impact that's going to leave with this community for many, many years to come. Your legacy, your footprint, your fingerprints are going to be all over this town for a very, very long time. And with that, I say thank you, and God bless you, and good luck.
Mr. Mayor, while you're talking about Rick, I just wanted to tell Rick that the district does have a clean city, clean face policy.
He needs a pay increase because he can't afford razors.
I would like, if I can, I'd like to say,
Go back.
we all know we can hear in this building.
Oh, you got to go up. You got to have it on. Got to have it on the mic.
I guess it's real simple. It's been a real honor to serve the people of this community, and it's been a wonderful experience to meet all of you and to go through everything that we've gone through in the last 5 years. It's been something extremely special. Tonight was a great example. I mean, we're in this building, we're wrestling with weighty issues. It's significant what we've done in the last 5 years, and it's been a group effort. So from me and my family, the opportunity that the manager gave me and that you all gave me here was something that I'll never forget. And I would like to say to the staff, it's been wonderful. It really has. I didn't know what I was walking into when I came here, and I couldn't be happier with the team that we've had and what we've done. Every single one of you. We've shared some really special times. So I appreciate the city. I appreciate the people. I appreciate everyone here, and I'll be watching. I'll be watching because I'll have time on my hands. What am I going to be doing up in Bethesda? It's beautiful. All right, I won't have to drop what I'm doing and run to put out some fire somewhere. So, hopefully. But again, thank you all. It's been amazing, and please come and visit. It's a great place, and we'd love to have you. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Business from the city manager.
No, just to say thanks to Rick as well. We had a nice little luncheon for him yesterday, mocking him, hissing and booing, but he's been a real presence here, and everybody's enjoyed his service here, and we're very grateful.
Absolutely. Mr. Attorney, anything from City Attorney? Quit playing with it and just turn it on.
Just the same comment to Rick, that we've really enjoyed working with you, Rick. And we've worked through some very tough issues, and it's been a pleasure on behalf of our whole staff working with you, and we wish you the best.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Roth, you're first.
I just have one item. First of all, I want to say, Rick, I'm sorry I missed your thing yesterday. I had a prearranged engagement somewhere else, and I'd rather have been there than where I was. So, but my best to you. We spoke earlier in the week, and you know how I feel, and we're going to miss you, very much. The only thing I have is I just want to make the announcement that the Homestead Rock and Rib Fest recipients are this year, which is going to take place on October the 1st at Harris Field Pavilion. Now, these 4 charities are going to receive all the net proceeds from what the event raises, less the expense that we have, and it costs us about $10,000 to put the event on. Normally, we raise about $25,000 or $30,000, so they can expect to get anywhere between $4,000 and $5,000 each for their charities. This year's charities are going to be Patches PPEC, Start Off Smart, SOS is a part of it as well. Gladiator Wrestling, which is a new charity to the event. This is our 5th year. And the Mexican American Council is also a new charity that we brought in to the event this year. I'll be reaching out to my colleagues here for support of the event, which most of them do anyways. It's a great event. It's all about charities and what we do for the city, the children in the city itself. We will have some support from the Police Explorers. We've invited them into the event as well, and we're working on some things for them so that they can actually become a recipient of the event next year. And that's all I've got for now.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. Rick, congratulations on your new position. I guess this means I'm not going to get the reports I've been waiting on for 6 months. Oh, well, maybe you can pass them on to Jerry. And I want to congratulate Jerry Estrada, who's going to be replacing Rick. He's been here a long time, and you will now be the recipient of the 8 a.m. calls that I'm famous for, because I'm scared to call Kate. Anyway, congratulations to both of you on your new positions. Rick, like the mayor said, your thumbprint, your footprint, whatever it is going to be around this city forever. And we certainly appreciate all the hard work and dedication that you've given us over the years. So thank you. That's all I've got, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Mr. Maldonado, Mr. Shelley, sorry. Mr. Shelley. Turn you on, right? Good.
Thank you, Mayor. Same thing, I really just want to thank Rick for his service to the city of Homestead and all the hard work you put into these major projects. You can see like you said, the thumbprint on a lot of these projects, but also personally thank you because you've been involved and instrumental in a lot of the projects that I've worked on over the last couple of years. And because of your effort and because of you staying on top of things and some of your ideas that you've committed to some of the projects and come up with have really helped some of my projects become better. And so I want to personally thank you. But I also want to recognize the city manager because when he came here, however many years ago it's been now, he brought a staff with him and he's really elevated the level of all of our staff members, not only the ones that you brought on board, but the ones that were here when you got here. And I think it's a testament to your leadership and your training and your style, the fact that we are losing, we don't like to lose our staff members, but they are moving on to bigger and better things. And I think that goes to show what you're able to help do with them and really maximize everyone's potential. So I want to recognize you and thank you for what you're doing for the city as well. That's all, Mayor.
That's all, sir? Thank you. Mr. Maldonado.
Rick, I'm sure you're going to miss the manager's pizza sessions that you have. I can imagine how many slices of pizza you had working all these late nights, all these deadlines that you had to meet. And I know that all it did was prepare you for what your future, awaits you. And so you know that I'm sure at this point you don't fear anything, and there's no challenge that will come before you that with a box of pizza you can't just sit down and solve it. So thank you for your service here. That's inevitable. Yeah, we know that there's always going to be a connection there, and so congratulations. Very proud of what you've done here as a citizen and as an elected official. Your friendship has been great, and thank you for all that you've done. And I will be seeing you when I travel up to DC, so I'll see you later. And so, Mayor, through the manager, and I got a question in regards to, I have a concern. But before I state my concern, I want to ask a question. The question is, and this might go to Chief, and he might not know this, and Julio, but I want an answer soon. How many accidents have we had reported when we get off the expressway heading eastbound and folks trying to cross over to get to 152nd Avenue? When you get off the Turnpike exit and you're making a right-hand turn heading to Homestead Hospital, how many accidents have happened with folks trying to cross over to try to cross where the Longhorn is, the entrance, which is 152nd Avenue? I'm pretty sure you don't have an answer, but I'd like that answer at the next meeting. So my concern is that what I see every time I get off is that there are near accidents and folks that are quickly trying to exit. Once they exit, they're supposed to continue straight, but there's not enough space, so they cut traffic off to get over to 152nd Avenue. I almost got hit last week, and in the past, you just have to be on full guard when you're coming out of there, whether it's the person braking in front of you and not going forward because he's waiting for the rest of traffic, which holds up the rest of traffic, or he's gunning over. So I know that that's been a concern. So maybe another question could be, is there, and to consider, in council, you guys could weigh in on this, kind of what we did with the entrance to, help me out there, what was the place? Dairy Queen, there you go, thank you. So in Dairy Queen, we kind of used some markers to kind of keep the flow of traffic moving in a certain direction, so it kind of inhibits those personnel to crossing over. And maybe we need to consider some other areas, because that's also happening where we're trying to get on the expressway and folks are cutting in on all those folks that just made a line to get out of here, and they're cutting them off. So maybe some type of, those little sticks happen to work. And so I don't know if you guys would want to talk about it with staff and maybe council. If you guys have any opinion on it, please, this would be the time now.
With the one regarding the Turnpike exit, I'll reach out to the Turnpike Authority to see, so they can study that intersection, basically, because we're actually working with them now to do the northbound, westbound to north, so that they don't have to cross over in the traffic. And at that point, that motion that you're talking about will not be available for anybody to do. As a matter of fact, right now, it really shouldn't be done. But I'll talk to them to see if there's something that they can do in the interim to dissuade the vehicles from trying to make that movement and going eastbound, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's one of the major issues that I see coming off the expressway. And that is all for me, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Burgess.
Well, just a suggestion is Mr. Brea, as you come up and get off the Turnpike for 88, they've got two right-hand turn lanes, one which you're allowed to flow, steady flow, the other one you have to wait for the light. Perhaps that is something we can look at and make that first lane where you're only at the turn, where you're only allowed to do that one turn. And then as far as the entranceway for the westbound traffic on 312 and the Turnpike, perhaps they could put those knockover deals up to keep people from cutting in, because you do see on a regular basis,
people,
with the wonderful driving abilities that we have from some people that disregard whoever is out there and just cut them off. So just two thoughts for over there. And maybe as you're working on this, what kind of time frame do we have on getting that ramp, or where are we at with that real quickly?
Well, right now, the Turnpike Authority already has a consultant on board. They're doing the design. I believe they're at 60% of 60% design drawings, which we should be getting, because I had a meeting with them like around 2 weeks ago. So probably within the next month, we should be getting a set of drawings to start looking at the 60%. But they want to start at the beginning of 2017. So like in January or so, 2017 is when they want to start the actual construction. And it's going to be a design build type of process, so the contractor's already on board with the consultant and they're working together.
It's such an easy project, it should probably take them about 3 weeks. No, I'm, it's just crazy. It's such an easy project that, you know, it's been like.
But what they did for funding purposes, they tied it to the expansion of the turnpike, so that they're using the same contractors, and that's where, I guess, the spreading of the time has
Okay.
resulted.
Okay. I just got a couple of requests. I'd like to appoint Mr. Shelley to the Greater Miami's Convention Visitors Bureau to represent Homestead. It's his baby to bring this back to us. So if council's okay with that, is there a motion to appoint Steve? Second. All in favor? Got nothing else to do. Just got. The next is we've got 2 appointments to the Education Committee. Is there a motion for those 2 appointments? Says there a second? All in favor? Aye. And I've got one other thing I'd like to ask. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
All in favor? Good night. Thank you, everyone.